Hello, my Teaser King family. How's everybody on Tuesday, August 1st? Our birthday today. Um, nice sunny day out. Swam twice today. Swam at lunch and then just went to the club and I get my hot tub in. I'll tell you the best part about fasting is so I didn't eat late. I ate dinner Friday, then I don't eat after dinner because I'm starting my fast, and then I don't eat at all Saturday. Sunday I ate at like 5, which was 47 hours into it. So when I finally ate, then I'm not eating after 6. Yesterday I had my normal time and I didn't eat after 6. So where I was sometimes having a little square of chocolate or maybe a fruit or something at 8, 9 o'clock after my swim, I'm totally not. You can feel the difference. So it was like Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night. Now it's Tuesday night. You go to sleep, you wake up, you just feel thinner, you have more energy, you just feel a whole lot better. So there's many things I get. And really what I was trying to do is, since I was having too much cherries, because you'd buy the bag and you'd eat it, and you'd eat half the bag and the other half the next day, and you're like, I'm supposed to have 5 cherries. I mean, it's like eating M&Ms. You eat the whole freaking thing. So anyway, so I wanted to get off that sweet tooth, and I was having chocolatey clears. I was having one little donut here and there, and it was becoming once a week, twice a week, and it was like, okay, it's out of hand. Get off this shit. And I felt like I was gaining a few pounds, so I really wanted to cut that out. I don't test my blood pressure and blood sugar that often. It's when I feel it. So I just wanted to, but I know if I fast, it'll get back to normal. So that's the beauty of the fast. I did it and my blood pressure dropped. So I know that's all I need to do to get my blood pressure down. All right. Baseball trade deadline. We'll take a look at that. Did they get rid of Verlander? I know Scherzer went somewhere. And then where did Verlander was supposed to go? Maybe the Tigers screwed up. They had this guy Rodriguez, who's not very good, but I guess they think he's good because when you look at the rest of the team, the guy looks like a superstar. And so they line up a trade to the Dodgers, and then in his contract says, I don't go to the West Coast. And everybody's looking at the GM like, what do you got, your head up your ass? You don't know to read the contract. You didn't ask the guy. You want to trade him to LA, and he's got a contract that says, I won't go to the West Coast. You don't read that first and then do the rest? It's like an idiot. That's why when we look at football, we look at injuries first. I don't care about the game if my quarterback's out. Caleb Williams is out. I'm not looking at USC. That's the first thing I'm looking at is injuries. Now, where we got screwed last year was Rising was hurt, but didn't tell anybody until game time, and then he doesn't go out to take the first snap, and everybody's like, where is he? Wasn't on the injury list. Most of the time, like in the pros, where you have a good idea, the guy's not playing. But I didn't like that Rising, and I think there was Penix or somebody else, Bo Nix, where it wasn't on the injury list, and then they come up, game's about to start, they're not playing. And the line's not really moving, and you're fucked. Then there was the Oklahoma quarterback. Gabriel was against Kansas. I'm going to lock the game over. I don't think he's playing. And then at the last minute, the line starts moving. He is playing. So I couldn't put the lock on it, but I put a good bet on the over there, which was over at halftime. But that's what we like. So I found a very good guy, a colonel. I think his name's Douglas McGregor. And this guy really tells it like it is, right? He's like Jesse. He tells it just the way it is. I was going to wait for Bobby to play this. So I might play it twice, but the first 10 minutes of this guy is just, you're going to go, wow. Now, I'll review before, I'll review after. So what he's saying is Russia won the war. There's no way the Ukraine can beat Russia. And it's all, the wars between the liberal elitist Americans, the Zuckerbergs, the Larry Finks and BlackRock, the Blackstone, the Vanguards, the George Soros. They want, the real reason is they wanted to have this Darth Vader attitude where we're in charge, we're controlling everybody, fuck all you guys. And right now we're going to dump the money, but we're just gonna have all this wokeness. We're gonna turn everything into communism, and everybody will be slaves. You won't own anything. It'll be a total communist thing. Trying to do. However, we're not going to let that happen. We're not going to do the CBDCs. And as I showed you, the Rodney Dangerfield, we don't take shit from nobody, and we're not going to take shit from these idiots. They have no idea what they're doing. It's all George Soros, as I said, and Carl Schwab or John Schwab or whoever the Schwab guy is. My thought on the whole thing is George Soros, a Nazi. He's from Hungary. He was like 10 years old when the Nazis were running things, and he turned Nazi. He turned in Jews and other Hungarians, and he stole a bunch of Nazi gold. That's where he got his money from. And I think what it is he's trying to get revenge for the Nazis losing. And who came in? Well, the U.S. invaded and really, got Hitler out, right? Because if we didn't attack, it'd still be going on. So we came in and the Russians come in. So he's trying to kill both of us, right? That's what he's trying to do. Most of what he's trying to do is with all these immigrants, right? It's in Europe too. And it's mostly the Muslims and the Indians and the Africans and the Middle Eastern are all leaving there because it's all terrible run governments, and they're all going to England, which is all fucked up, and Germany's all fucked up. France is protesting it. But Russia says, no, we're not. We're just staying Russian. We don't want these people in our country. They can visit, but they're not citizens, Russian citizens. And they look at Ukraine as Russian too. So they don't want to, Putin doesn't really want to kill the Ukrainians. So Jenna's pretty safe there. Daria is always safe, but Jenna's in the Ukraine's safe. She doesn't realize she's safe. See, the way they painted the pictures is all Putin's fault, and that's exactly wrong. It's got nothing to do with Putin. Putin's defending. It's all the Mark Zuckerberg, Joe Gates, Warren Buffett's, all these assholes, it's all their fault. They want to take over and control. There's no reason for this war. There was nothing there. Putin doesn't want the war. He's tried to end it several times. He doesn't see any point. He doesn't want to kill the Ukrainians. They're Russians, basically. So, but the U.S. won't settle it. They won't say, you know what, you're right, because they don't want to admit they're wrong. Same reason we have with gold. Why doesn't people buy gold? Then they'd have to admit they're wrong, and they can't admit they're wrong. So these guys, these elitist assholes, we'll call them, do not know how to say they're wrong. A lot of them go to like Harvard and Yale. Anybody you hear going to Harvard and Yale, run. These guys are idiots. They do not know what they're talking about. They're all Keynesians, communists. That's what their Kissinger went there and kind of, it's all screwed up. So that's what is being taught there is more Keynesian communism type of thing. And that's where like Jamie Dimon, the JP Morgan guy, and then some of these other guys went to Harvard or Yale. And the Ivy League's all fucked up. So all these guys running this place, all the bankers, are Keynesians, and that's why they keep printing. And pretty soon it's going to blow up in their faces because they don't understand you can't print. So what's going to happen is it's going to collapse and they'll get theirs. We buy gold, we get ours. That's really what we're waiting for. And they're going to destroy. They're like the Titanic. There's icebergs. Let's ignore the warnings. Let's speed up. But there's icebergs. Yeah, let's speed up. We're an unsinkable ship. Oh, really? How'd you sink? Well, we hit an iceberg and we didn't use that. Hey, Bobby Ball, I got a perfect video for you. I've been waiting for you. I just got on. So anyway, these elitists think that they can just keep printing money. They don't realize what inflation is. They think it's prices. They don't realize that this is gone. This is worth a penny. And they don't realize to buy gold. They're the only central bank in the world not buying gold. How stupid are they? So this guy's a colonel. I watched it, and you know how I am. I'm like, you got to prove it to me. You got to bring the game. I don't think you're anything until you prove it. Most of these guys are just negative. But with him, I looked at it, and I watched 6 or 7 of his videos, and they're all virtually the same. We're not going to go, this is 49 minutes. We're not going to go through all 49. But let's go through the first 5 or 6 minutes of this. Bobby, take notes. You'll love it. Did you get to hit the coin store? Yeah. Friday I bought a half ounce. I told you, the Philharmonic. He had a few others. Again, I ask him where he gets it. Some people come in and they need money and they give him the gold. And it's funny how the gold's always worth something. It's never worth zero, and people will always buy it. And then I come in and I pay over spot. He's a little scammer, right? He sells it to him at spot, so probably $9.50, and then I buy it for $10.25. So he makes $75. And if I could catch these people going in, I would buy it spot plus 25. They'd make more, and I'd make more. So that's our little side business we got to do. Gold 25 over spot, which is really because we want to buy it anyway. So yeah, I bought it. I was going to buy silver. I wasn't sure, but now I bought the half, so I'm very happy. And then I get the full paycheck and the Social Security next week, and then that should be my last Social Security because I got to start paying tax on it. So I'm gonna ease off on it. When I'm 66, I can do it without taxes, but gold will be much higher the time we're that. Okay, so this is Colonel Douglas McGregor. He's got 5 or 6 of these. I highly recommend this, and I only recommend if I think it's worth it, like our doctor and of course me. All right, here we go. I'm going to do about 5-6 minutes, then I'll intervene.
You said empires of lies create truth bombs, which are beginning to explode. That could be a line in a song, by the way. That's a good line. Maybe you're a part-time poet as well. Is the media narrative so different from what is really going on over there? And why do you think we're not allowed to talk about it in any kind of complicated way? Why is it this sort of Putin bad? Nobody can really speak on the facts of what's really happening here. You are doing quite a lot of that, and we appreciate it.
Well, you're right, of course. And I just listened to Cy Hirsch, who was asked a similar question. And I think what's happened in the West is that the forces that control the government, that control the financial system, Wall Street, and the media, along with Hollywood, are largely the same people. So, we have to take some time and go through it. But if you look at the major players who have billions of dollars at their disposal that contribute heavily to the Democratic Party, they are the ones that are sitting in the driver's seat. And they've decided that Russia must be destroyed, that it's in the their interests and the interests of the NATO alliance, that this war be precipitated and ultimately Russia dragged in, destroyed, and then ultimately endure regime change and then the sort of systematic looting of its resources. This all appeared, by the way, in a document that was authored by George Soros back in the 1990s. So this is a plan that apparently has been around for some time. And in fact, George Soros pointed out that the people best suited to destroy the Russians were the East Europeans, because he insisted at the time, quote unquote, the West Europeans don't have the stomach for it. So those are probably the origins. And the people that are running the current administration in Washington are either the same people or closely related to the people that launched the operations in the Balkans aimed at Yugoslavia and Serbia and ultimately Russia then. So this has been something that, for reasons that I don't personally understand, frankly, there was a desire to harm Russia. Now, at the same time, of course, you have the expansion of NATO, and it's hard to not put two and two together and conclude that the relentless expansion of NATO from its original borders all the way to the border with Russia and eastern Ukraine was obviously something that was part of this larger plan to bring on the conflict.
And you don't really understand the reason why. It's interesting. I was listening to this conversation between
This guy's a colonel.
and Jordan Peterson that just came out. And Jordan Peterson said that he did not think we were undergoing a sort of political war, but deeper than that was a war of psychopathy against, I guess, normal people or people that aren't psychopaths. Do you relate to that comment at all and have anything to say about that?
I don't know. I know that some of the key players, Victoria Nuland and a cohort, the Blinkens, everybody that's running the administration seems to have a relative who came to this country, to the United States, from what we call the Pale in Central East Europe, which was an area that under Tsarist Russia embraced part of White Russia, Ukraine, and Eastern Poland. And they obviously have relatives who at the hands of the Tsar, presumably. Some of them came later after the Bolshevik Revolution and were very enamored of communism at the time and saw the Soviet Union as sort of a group of well-meaning souls who got lost on the road to utopia, never mind the 60 million human beings they murdered. There are all sorts of different aspirations and interests, I think, at work. And ultimately, I think this appealed to a broader audience of what we call neocons and globalists. You know, Russia is this strange outlier. It is a national state that rests on the foundation of Orthodox Christianity and culture and Russian ethnicity. Even though there are millions of non-Russians inside the Russian state, nevertheless, they all swear allegiance to Russia. They speak Russian, and have largely assimilated into the mainstream of Russian society, although they may be Chechens or Tartars or any number of different ethnic groups, and it seems to work. As a result, this is something that's bad, that has to be destroyed. You know, Russia is not opening its borders to millions of people from the Middle East and North Africa, and it has no intention of doing so. It sees itself as deserving of survival, as a civilization, if you will, unto itself, and will not allow that civilization to be destroyed. And apparently the globalists, the neocons that we've been dealing with in the United States for the last 30 years, that have set us on the path to war in any number of different places, are committed to its destruction, seeing it as a sort of last obstacle, because after all, they've had so much success in Europe, in France, in Great Britain, in Germany, and Scandinavia, Spain, Italy, by flooding it with millions and millions of non-Europeans, large numbers of Muslims, that they want to do the same thing to Russia. Russia's resisted, therefore Russia must be destroyed. And then, of course, you have the financial aspects. Russia has divorced itself from the larger global financial system, which we in the West dominate, effectively New York City and London. And Putin has done everything in his power to disengage from that, to make Russia independent of it. And now, of course, Russia, working together with China and India, along with 41 other countries in the world, are trying to put together a new currency that's pegged to gold to completely avoid and divorce themselves from the Western fiat currency system that we run and dominate. So you have financial warfare, you have armed conflict, you have cultural warfare on every level.
On every level. And so it's just that he won't play ball with the globalists and let his sort of country and culture be usurped by their agenda. You think that's probably the main crux. And then there's this whole Nazi aspect. Putin's family was butchered by the Nazis, and they came through to Russia through Ukraine, and some of the biggest killing fields during World War II were in Ukraine. And plus, we see Nazis fighting with Ukrainian soldiers and stuff like this. What's that have to do with this whole thing?
Well, that's one of the true oddities of this whole business.
Right.
Because the people that are driving the show are anything but Nazis. And Kolomoisky, who is the wealthy billionaire oligarch in Ukraine, who's the man that, along with others, but he was the principal driver who picked Zelensky and decided to make him a candidate, run him for office, and install him in power. He's Jewish, and he's the principal funding source for the Azov Regiment and its various units. And, of course, you have Mr. Zelensky, who's Jewish. He's the president of Ukraine and seems to have embraced these people. It is bizarre. It's something that I could never even imagine in my wildest dreams. And I'm certainly not a pro-communist by any means. I'm one of these people that thought we shouldn't help the communists under any circumstances, but I also wouldn't have gotten involved in the war to begin with. But in this case, Russia is living a nightmare, because they look across the border and they see tanks from Germany with the German military symbol of the Iron Cross painted on the tanks, which I think was in very bad taste and foolish. I called friends in Germany and in the German military, and some of them are retired, some of them are active. And I said, well, for God's sakes, if you're going to send these things over there, paint out those Iron Crosses. Surely you know that that's going to have a profoundly negative impact on the Russians. And they said, yeah, I agree, but apparently the decision was made to send them as they are. And one German pointed out to me, even if we'd have painted them out, these crazy Ukrainians would have gone and painted them back on there again. And in fact, in some cases, that's what they've done, using old SS symbols and so forth. Now, that's not, and let's be fair, that's not the entire Ukrainian army. That's a section or a vision of these people that are.
All right, so let's take a break and recap. So if we use INFJ thinking, which is what I do, what it sounds like to me is these, what do you call them, nuts, the Zuckerbergs and let's call it the George Soros team. They want to kill Russia and steal all the gold, silver, gas, and oil, all the natural resources that Russia has, they want to take. Sort of like what Hitler did in World War II. When he went into these countries, he stole the gold. That was the whole reason he went into the countries. What better to do? When I have an army, I can rob banks, basically. So that's what Hitler did. And I think that's what they're trying to do. They didn't expect, he said this little later on, that they all thought Russia was nothing, that they thought they didn't have a good military, sort of like what Germany did about us in World War II, and Hitler thought, well, look, if the Japanese came in and did Pearl Harbor, we must not have a good army. That's why he declared war on us. Well, obviously we did. So they're thinking Russia doesn't have a good army. We can, the U.S. is a bunch of bastards because the Ukrainians are the ones dying, not us. So they're using the Ukrainians as a proxy. He pays off Zelensky, who now doesn't look like such a good guy. And Putin doesn't look like such the bad guy. This is not Putin going crazy. This is the Soros team trying to take over Russia and get the diamonds, gold, minerals, and gas and oil out, getting all the value. That's what this really is. It's always about gold and oil. So now we understand what the fuck's really going on there. Soros is the one with all these. I don't understand the Zuckerberg. The Zuckerbergs are too stupid. See, the problem is Zuckerberg and Gates are IT guys. They don't have a clue about finance. The rest of them are all Keynesians because they went to Harvard and Yale, and they don't have a clue. So they're all saying, yeah, this is good. We'll get oil and gold, and we'll make everybody, we'll control the whole world and make all the people starve, and we'll control me and you. So really, they're just, they keep dumping people into these countries to take over the country, because once you're not German anymore and you got all these Muslims and Middle East and Africans in, what are you? You're not German, you're not Italian, you're not France. So that's what France is going to having their things about, is they don't want all this bullshit in. And all the leaders are held hostage by Soros. I got you into office, I can throw you out of office. And then he pays them off. Again, Soros is a Nazi. He got all his money from the Nazi gold in the 50s. He wants revenge for Germany losing and for Hitler. He's half out of his mind. He's 95. It's like, okay, enough already. Go end it already. So that's what this thing's really about. And I was so happy I found this guy, because I actually am hearing the truth. And Putin's wanted to negotiate 3 or 4 times, and Biden said no. When Boris Johnson went in there, he said no. Like Zelensky's paid off. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's paid off. He'll leave. He'll end up leaving. He'll go to an island somewhere with this guy who put him in office. Now, Jenna, I think, safe, because according to him, Putin doesn't want to kill the Ukrainians because he considers them Russians. They're all the same Slavs and everything. So I think she's fairly safe. That's why he's not really killing people. He's really killing the army, and then a lot of the Ukrainian army's doing the damage. Now, what he says is they're all surrendering because they realize there's 750,000 Russian soldiers now. They have no chance of winning. Russia's won this war. It's a W. They're up 42-0 in the 4th quarter. The game's over, right? We're just counting down the clock. The problem is Biden, how does he end the war? He doesn't want it. He fucked up. He doesn't want to admit he can't win. So how does he save face? Well, it's the same thing with him pulling out of Afghanistan. From what I heard, the proper way out would have been wait till winter, when it's really hard to get out. But what Biden did was the worst time to go, in the summer. And, he fucked it up, and never should have been him doing it. So what you really have is Soros wanting the Russian gold, oil, diamonds. It's just another normal war about gold and oil, basically. It's the money. It's always about the money. Every war in the history of life is always about the money. Otherwise, why go to war? Why risk your people? So that's what's really happening. So it's all bullshit. It's a matter of the Russians trying to defend from having NATO in the Ukraine. They don't want NATO right on the Ukraine, right on their borders. That's a no-no. And he said that. That's what he keeps saying. And they keep trying to get there. And we wanted the Ukraine, we wanted everything left alone, because then we have Russia 500 miles away, because we have Ukraine in the middle, and that's what we liked. Now, we're so fucked. Well, it's a joke. We're so fucked. It's all over here. I mean, we have no hope. We have no military. We have a bunch of idiots running things. it's so fucked. I mean, basically, we've turned into the Detroit Lions, right? We're like, we have no hope, no coaching, no management. So gold's going to go through the roof. We can see that. Now we can fight back. We might be okay because what their plan is isn't working. And everybody's exposed to it now, and everybody's like, no, we don't like this. And Europe's fighting back. They're seeing what's happening, and Germany's fighting back. Hungary's fighting back. No, we don't want this. We don't mind letting people in, but we're not going to lose our country. So back to this, but now we have a little better understanding. So let's go.
It's incomprehensible to me. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, we go back to what Jordan Peterson says, and it maybe starts to make sense. And then on the Russian side, we have the Wagner Group and what's his name, Prigozhin, who rebelled against Putin. And wasn't the crux of that rebellion because he thought Putin wasn't being hard enough? And don't many of the Russian people feel like Putin's not just ending this quickly enough? I mean, we get told Putin is this war monster, but in fact, isn't he sort of trying to hold back and end this because he understands he doesn't want to kill a bunch of Ukrainian civilians, even though we're told the opposite of that?
Well, first of all, let's get something straight. I have never met Mr. Putin. I do not know him personally, and I'm not familiar with too many of the details regarding his family other than some of the things that you pointed out in the siege of Leningrad, which his family experienced, which was horrific. Those things I know about, but this business of he's a thug and a murderer and on and on and on, I know nothing about that. I haven't seen any evidence for it. But frankly, it all shrinks to insignificance next to national interests. And Putin has made it clear for nearly 20 years that if this border with NATO were advanced to the Russian border, the Russian state would regard this as a threat, an existential threat. Because after having witnessed our behavior in the Balkans and our readiness to use overwhelming striking power of the United States Air Force, along with some of our allies, to beat the Serbs into submission, a nation of 8 million people, and bomb them literally into ruins, I think they decided that they did not want to have a NATO country on their border that could ultimately be used as a platform for attack against Russia. And indeed, that's why he decided in 2014 to seize control of the Crimean Peninsula. And the Crimean Peninsula has naval bases on it, which in his nightmares would have been occupied by the United States Navy and the Royal Navy. He wasn't prepared to let that happen. He wasn't prepared to turn the Black Sea over to NATO or the Baltic or the Arctic. In other words, once he saw this enormous Ukrainian army emerge, very well equipped, very well trained, and he saw these other things, these biolabs that no one has yet thoroughly explained,
right?
Which I find deeply disturbing. And I think he decided, well, there's not much choice in the matter. I've told these people what we will and won't tolerate. They haven't taken me seriously. And so he decided he would intervene in the eastern portion. Now, remember that since 2014, the Ukrainian forces have been shelling Donetsk and Luhansk, the so-called two breakaway provinces that are Russian speakers, Russian people, relentlessly since 2014, since we installed this radical nationalist government in Kiev. And, they've killed 14,000 people in this war since 2014. And just before he finally said, let's go into Ukraine with the 90,000 troops that he sent in there initially, it had reached the Russians to go in and stop this. But they made a mistake. They assumed that they would find someone in the West to talk to them. Remember, at this point in time, they were not aware that the Minsk Accords, which were attempts to deal with the treatment of the Russians in Ukraine as third-class citizens to human rights, their rights before the law, treating them as equal partners inside multinational, multicultural Ukraine had been essentially a farce. In other words, as Chancellor Merkel pointed out, these Minsk Accords were never serious. They were designed to buy time for the Ukrainians to build up their force. So I think, he didn't know that at the time, and I think he thought that somebody in Washington would stand up and say, no, wait a minute, we don't want a war in Eastern Europe. That has terrible implications for the rest of the continent. We don't want to kill a lot of people. So obviously this has gone too far. We need a ceasefire, and we need to talk to President Putin and his diplomats and find a way out of this. I think he was surprised when the opposite was the case. When suddenly he was declared a war criminal, when regime change was announced by President Biden in a speech in Warsaw, and when the Ukrainians actually expressed the readiness to accept neutrality at the end of March, beginning of April, Boris Johnson flies in from London and at the behest of President Biden says, absolutely not. You need to fight, and we'll back you. We'll give you everything you want. We'll back you regardless of how long it takes, and you're going to have the entire strength and power of the scientific industrial capabilities of the United States and its allies until you win. And I think Zelensky believed him. And as a result, he told the Russians no. And at that point, I think the Russians decided, well, this is not going to turn out as we had hoped. The force that we have is not large enough. They only had an army of regulars of about 220,000, and the Ukrainian force was larger than that. And I think they decided we're going to have to at least partially mobilize, expand the force, and we're going to have to crank up the defense industry. And of course, that's what they've done. Their factories are running 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, churning out brand new equipment, some of the best equipment they've ever had. And they had stockpiles of artillery ammunition, rockets, and missiles, but now they have even more than they had previously stockpiled because their factories are producing them. And you arrive finally months later at this position where the Ukrainian army has been literally decimated and exhausted itself trying to break through the Russian defenses around the areas that they've taken. And now the Ukrainian army is collapsing. They're melting away. They're walking away from positions because they've lost at least 300,000 dead, probably closer to 350,000, and we don't even know how many casualties they have had, probably as many as killed in action. Russians have taken very few. We're looking at perhaps 40 to 50,000 killed and less than 30 or 40,000 wounded, and most of the wounded returned to duty. So Russian casualties are comparatively light. But the Ukrainian state now is in serious trouble because millions and millions of people have fled the country, and everybody coming out says they'll never go back. Remember, it was always a hotbed of corruption, and that corruption has only grown worse in the war zone. It's grown so badly that we think 30 to 40% of all the equipment we've sent over there has been resold to other buyers, including the Mexican drug cartels. So, the whole thing is a disaster. And you're right. I think Putin said, first of all, when this is over, we want to live with the Ukrainians. They are Orthodox Slavs like us. We lived with them before, we want to live with them again. And so there were great attempts made by the Russians to minimize collateral damage, to harm as few civilians as possible. And I think that's one reason it's being so deliberate and so slow. And then the second part of it is, he does not want a war with the United States and NATO. And I think he's always been concerned that if he simply said, that's it, let's hit them with everything we own, and we're going to run right over them, and we're going to conquer this place, that would precipitate U.S. and NATO intervention. And he doesn't want it. And so he has absolutely restrained the use of the Russian ground forces and air forces and limited the strikes to what he thought were strategically vital and essential. That's being misinterpreted by many people as weakness or indecisiveness. Now, Prigozhin was not rebelling against him. He was trying in his mind to get Putin's attention to do two things. One was don't dismantle Wagner, because the Minister of Defense, Shoigu, and the Chief of the General Staff, General Gerasimov, had both made it clear that in their view, Wagner was an illegal organization. And that was simply because there was a law in the books that said that Wagner and other private militaries could not be employed on Russian soil, that they were designed exclusively for use overseas. But of course, Prigozhin went to President Putin and said, "I'll bring my force back to fight." He was welcomed. Of course, bring your force, just as, the Chechens, who have a force of about 70,000 men now, at least 30,000 or 40,000 are in right now fighting within the framework of the Russian army. They did the same thing, came and said, "We want to fight and we'll support you." And so they were welcomed. And I think that ultimately, over time, Prigozhin became angry because he didn't think he was being adequately supported by the army, because he felt that Gerasimov and Shoigu were holding back, were not giving him all the ammunition he needed, and so forth. So that was the first thing. The second thing was, I think he was trying to get President Putin's attention, and he ultimately did get it, because he went in and had a 3-hour meeting along with 34 of his officers with President Putin in the Kremlin, to say, look, this war needs to be accelerated. We need to get this over with. This is stupid. Every time we slow down and we're cautious and we wait, they re-equip. And then we have to fight, another Ukrainian force with new equipment. So let us end this. And I don't know what was said in the meeting, but I do know that President Putin listened. But what he decided to do, I have no idea, except that I think he is still moving very cautiously.
Yeah, it's wild. I called it Wagner Group, but you call it Wagner. I'm American. I'm from Ohio. Let me call it Wagner.
That's okay. It's okay.
This is just wild. Like the devastation of Ukraine, and you said 300,000 people to 350,000 casualties. And I also heard that when they can't rescue their wounded, so their wounded are surrendering to Russia, basically, because they also get treated well, which is another narrative left turn from what we're told, and also very smart, because then they're gonna all hear, "Hey, we get treated well when we just surrender," and so that's pretty genius. Are you worried about what NATO's response is going to be when the jig of all this is finally up? Because I think the Western media is still trying to pretend like Ukraine is winning this or has a chance, but clearly from what you're telling us, that there is no chance. So are you concerned with the response or the reaction from NATO in that regard?
Well, I am, for the following observations based on what happened recently in Vilnius in early July. And that, of course, was the NATO meeting of all the leadership of NATO in Vilnius.
Yeah. Zelensky got treated like the stepchild. It was like a Mean Girls scene out of a high school drama or something.
Yeah, it actually was. Yeah, it actually was. And I think Zelensky knows now that he was lied to when he was told, "We'll give you everything that we've got and you're going to win." He believed it. He was wrong. The other thing is that I think he believed many of his own advisors, as well as Americans, who told him the Russians are weak and stupid and incompetent. And a lot of the propaganda that has been heaped on the Russians is warmed over descriptions of the Soviet forces during World War II. And of course, we now think that they lost at least 39 million people. 1 million Soviet soldiers were executed by the secret police for refusing to fight for Stalin. And we know that 1.5 million so-called Soviet citizens, at least 500,000 Russians, 250,000 Ukrainians, and then various other ethnic groups all fought shoulder to shoulder with the Germans because they wanted to rid themselves of Stalin and communism. So that was a very different war, but the sort of terrible things that the Soviet advancing armies committed, mass rapes, mass murders, and so forth, They were accusing the contemporary Russian army of doing it, and that was never the case. Absolutely not. And Putin was very.
All right, let's take a break. So, as you can see, everything we've been told is fucking lies. Russia's winning the war 49-0. There's no way they're going to lose. They got 750,000 troops. They're running 24/7, making tanks, cannons, whatever, all the military shit, shells. This is not what the U.S. would have wanted. It's like, don't wake the bear up, right? He's sleeping. He sent a small force in. That's it. Let it go. No. Now we pissed them off, and now they got another million soldiers waiting, and they're producing arms, and we are done with arms. I like the part where he says, well, Boris Johnson and Biden lied to Zelensky. Why am I so shocked about that Biden lied? Like, really? Oh, that's a new one. Biden never lies to us. Inflation's down. There's no recession. Yeah, okay, sure. I believe that. I got oceanfront property in Detroit, if anybody wants. Very interesting. He basically says this title is like Russia is going to win or something. So I was just interested in what's going on. And then I see this guy, Colonel Douglas McGregor. So he was a colonel in the Army, U.S. Army. And he's actually telling the truth. This is what's really happening there. As scary as that is, we all thought, why is Putin still alive? Now the question is, I hope he stays alive. All he doesn't want all the people in. He doesn't want all the ethnicities in Russia. Russia is a Roman Catholic thing. And what's the problem here? They want us to be atheists, and they want all these foreigners in. Well, for us, it's okay. We have Middle Eastern and Indians and all these people from different places here anyway. And once they start making money and realize theoretically there's laws and freedom, everybody adopts to being American. That's why a lot of people come here, because supposedly the laissez-faire economics, Adam Smith, which they're trying to get away and go, no, you got to be communist, you got to be Keynesian, you got to no, the government's got to run stuff. So I'm in the pool today with an Indian, and I go, are you communist? Are you a socialist or are you capitalist? He couldn't answer the question. I says, well, capitalism is for us, freedom. We want freedom. And communist or socialist is the government runs things. He still couldn't answer the question. I'm looking at him like, Jesus Christ, don't you know what? Well, it's kind of mixed. Like, we can go make things, but the government tells us what to do. Oh, well, then you're communist. Like, he doesn't even know what he is, right? That's the problem with Indians. They're basically socialist, communist, and that's why they look down on us. I find that they look like they think they're better than us. It really bothers me. Where I live, there's a bunch of Indians, and I just don't even talk. I don't even bother. It's like, okay, yeah, you're better than me. Okay, great, fine. So I asked the guy in the hot tub, how much gold do you have? Just a little bit. I got Bitcoin. I got some stocks, and I said, well, when you go broke, don't come calling to me. I'm telling you to buy gold and sell your Bitcoin. And he's like, well, I made money on Bitcoin. You know, had I bought it when it was $2 a share, and I go, well, we could play that game with Microsoft or anything else. But the point, where are you now? Not where you could have bought Bitcoin at $5 a thing. I could have bought it cheap. I didn't want it. I don't know what it is. It's certainly not money. It's certainly not gold. As far as I can see, it's manipulated. I don't want anything to do with it. The difference is gold we know is manipulated, but we believe that's about to end with this whole BRICS thing. Now, after hearing this, the idea that the BRICS won't come out with a gold-backed system is probably 100% they will, because Biden doesn't want anything to do with the West. Neither does she. They understand what's going on. And especially now with this war, what Biden's doing, or what Putin's doing, is saying, look, don't put NATO on the border like we did when Russia put missiles in Cuba. We said we can't have it that close. I don't know why they can fly. He could bomb us from Russia. He could send the nukes, and we'd be dead. But he doesn't want to nuke us. That's for sure. He doesn't want a war with us. He's not trying. He's trying to be defensive. He just doesn't want NATO in Ukraine. That's all. But he's getting more and more pissed. So the best way is to get out of the U.S. system, which is what he wants. That's where gold comes in. That's where we're going to be fine with our gold and our silver. And the more we get, the better off we're going to be. It's certainly going to break COMEX. And it's all these elitists who are kind of trying to play Star Wars. They're like Darth Vader. They're trying to play Star Wars and control everybody and come out with this AI and electric cars, which are failing miserably. I saw something today. I'll go into my camera, my notes on Microsoft in a little bit and show you. But I mean, all these now, I think Ford and GM are freaking out because they can't get silver for the batteries, which I said something about when I went to Toyota a year and a half ago. And so now things are going to start costing more and they can't get it. Supplies out. Now the car is going to cost more. Nobody wants it. It's all Say's law. It's all what we talk about. There's got to be demand to create something. And if there's no demand, what the fuck are you making electric cars for? So yes, there's a recession. Yes, the inflation rate is about 15%, not 3%. That's fantasy. That's cherry picking. Let's look at 3 items that went down. Oh, look, it's only 3%. We won't include the food and the energy and the gas and all that. Let's not include that. He makes a comment in here. He says, well, my grocery bill's up 60% from what, and I buy the same thing every week. That's inflation. Well, really, that's not inflation. That's prices. This is inflation. So I'm starting to get a better look at Putin going, yeah, this guy knows what he's doing. I wish they'd go a little bit more Austrian economics in Russia. And although they are smart enough to buy all the gold and go on a gold standard, I don't see anybody doing it here. I know they announced it. I think Robert F. Kennedy said, let's go on the gold standard. And he gets booed out of Congress. And the biggest thing is, since these Soros idiots want to control us, they never want us to have gold because that means we're out of the system. That's why, that's probably the number one reason. That is to get out of this, but to get out of the system, you can only get out of the system with gold and silver. Otherwise, they can track you. They know how much money you got in the bank. If somebody gives me $1,000 on Teaserking, they know it. That's why I lowered the price to $5.99. They're only tracking 600 and above, so don't fuck with the professor. And then that's really what it's all about. So you're looking at all that, and these guys are trying to control us, and we're all saying we don't take shit from nobody. From back to school, right? We don't take shit. And that's what's happening in Europe. The Germans are starting to fight it. The French are starting to fight it. The Spaniards are starting to fight it. The Canadians with the truck thing was starting to fight it. These leaders are starting to get kicked out. There was a few elections. There's one in Hungary, one in Germany, where the conservative guy like me took over. They just had it. All this forcing all these Muslims and Middle Eastern and Africans into the country. Hey, you can go visit here, but you can't become a citizen. And that's what Russia wants. You can be a Russian citizen. Like I could go there and be a Russian citizen, and then, that's fine if I became a citizen, right? I'll be a Russian and, observe your nation. But not people just coming into the border like here that aren't. Now, the difference is we got 350 million Americans, and now there's 10, 20 million Mexicans in who don't give a fuck about anything. And then what is it, ethanol or penthanol that they're putting into the drugs. I don't want to take any prescription of anything. I don't know what this methadol or whatever it is. I know a lot of people are dying from it. What the fuck is that? And there's no laws. Nobody's stopping them. I think it's fentanyl or something. Nobody's stopping them. But these are the type of people coming in. But we got way too many people that if we just stand up and say, fuck you, go march on Washington, just vote them all out. The problem with voting them all out is George Soros runs the election. So we can't vote them out because the elections are fake. They're not real elections. They're not. When me and Bobby vote for Nick. Nick should win 2-0. No. Nick lost 3-2. Where are the 3 votes? Oh, they're George Soros. That's the problem. We need real elections, and I don't know why we can't get somebody to say, fuck you. We're going to count them one way or the other, and we're going to have legitimate elections, but they're not real. We keep having phony elections. That's why these Pelosi's in San Francisco, she's 105 years old. She keeps winning. There's probably not 5 people voting for her, but she keeps winning until San Francisco's in the ground. LA's in the ground. New York's in the ground. They're all crime-ridden, and there's all the elites are over there running these places, and they're all running them into the dirt. I'd rather be in Russia right now. I mean, although that still has problems, but only if I could still work at Harley, which I can. I got to figure that out, how I can work remotely from Spain or Amsterdam or something. Anyway, I found this fascinating. So it really is the elite is trying to not liking that Russia is Christian, Orthodox Christian or Catholic. And if you notice, they're trying to make us atheists, which is, if you believe in God or not, I still believe in religion and separation of church and state. I think that's very important, that if you want to be Jewish or Catholic or Christian, you certainly should be. And I don't think that you should take that out of it. And they're trying to make everybody atheist, which I really don't quite follow, but I don't know how that benefits them by making everybody atheist. We believe in you, Soros. You'll be our master. I mean, it's absurd. But, Hitler tried it, didn't work. Stalin tried it, didn't work. Napoleon tried it, didn't work. It's been tried. It won't work. It's not going to work now. There's too many people. You can't control them. They think they'll take the money away from us and control us with central bank digital currency, or we'll give you money. And we're like, we're not idiots. We'll buy gold and silver, and then you can't control me. That's why they keep the price down. So now it all makes sense. They keep the price down so you don't want to buy it. The Indian in the hot tub, what does he say? Well, gold doesn't really go anywhere. I go, do you understand it's manipulated? And they're trying to not have competition for the dollar, but it's really much higher than it is. And so the average guy goes into the stock market. Well, that's back to Titanic. That's the shit. You're in the stock market. You're in this. You're fucked. You're in the bank. You're fucked. People don't get it. You're fucked. Anything to do with paper, because it's paper. It has no value. That's how they're going to control you. So when the stock market crashes, what are you going to do? And it's going to crash. And inflation is way higher. It's 15% at least. So it's way higher than you think. So why do they say, oh, no recession, no inflation? All I see, stock market's going to go way up. These people are out of their fucking minds. These are a bunch of idiots that don't know what talking about, but they want to tell you. Notice they're all on CNBC or MSNBC or CNN, Communist News Network. They're all there, and they're all painting this picture that everything's rosy, so you believe them. And most of the people are not educated in it, and so they go, oh, okay, yeah, I believe it. If this guy says it, I'll believe it. And I keep saying, don't do that. You can't. I trust this guy. I've never heard him before. Like I trust Aegon and Alligator, because what he's saying, the way he says it, and again, I'm INFJing him. So I'm being very analytical, going, does this make sense or not? Does he know what he's talking about? But he does like gold, and he does say this is what's happening. And I do believe that we're making Putin look like the bad guy here, and then we're going to blame him for the inflation and the economy and everything crashing. And they'll come out with what he says is the problem is nobody wants to admit they're wrong. They thought Russia had a small force and we were easily going to take it. And then we would take the country and take their oil and gold and silver and diamonds and everything. That's what this war was about, just like World War II. So, but they're wrong. Russia does have this excellent army. They got 1 million troops. They got all, now that they're running 7 days a week with tanks and planes and all this stuff and missiles, all of a sudden they're like, fuck, the Russian army's top notch. We made it top notch because now they're running around the thing. They'll never surrender. We want Putin in because Putin understands. He doesn't want to hurt anybody. He really is not attacking. He's defending. He'll never use nukes, so you don't have to worry about that. And he wants gold. So yeah, I like that guy better than I like our guy. Our guy's like a fucking lion head coach. He's a fucking idiot. So let's see. It's a 50-minute thing. We're at minute 25. I don't want to do the whole thing, but I think we got the gist of it. So let's do one more section. But this guy really hammers it. He really tells you what's really happening, which we thought the Ukrainians were winning. Oh, I go to Jenna. Oh, it looks like we're going to win. We're going to, But when I talk to Daria, we don't talk war. She doesn't want to talk war. The Russians don't want to talk war because even they think that they're wrong, that they're attacking us. They're really defending against NATO, which I understand. And they're not really, the Ukrainians are going to start surrendering because they know they're going to get killed. But if they surrender, they're fine. At least that's what the colonel's saying. So if we believe that, then you'll see the Ukrainians just start surrendering because we know Russian, one thing they don't like. They like money and they hate death and they hate pain. So they're not going to want to continue the war and, know they're outnumbered. I see this war ending very soon. You have the elections. Now, are the elections this November? And then the new president comes in 24, or is it 24? I always get confused there. Maybe it's 24, so next year. So I'll have to come up with an excuse to end the war. Putin did this. The end did that. What'll happen is they'll run out of money because we keep printing money. Oh, the other thing he says, so when we send $80 billion, he says, it doesn't get there. A little of it gets to the Ukraine. Most of it goes to Biden and all these other people. And then when they do get the weapons, they sell them to the Mexicans. So they'll get tanks and stuff, and they sell them to the Mexicans. So they've taken our money and sell it. That's Zelensky. So Zelensky's really the bad guy in all this. He agreed to using his people as puppets. And he's not the good guy. Putin's actually the good guy after listening to this. So it's very good to know the truth. Unlike most of the stuff where you hear the propaganda, 9/11 was a terrorist. No, it was a gold robbery. But you don't want to hear it was a gold robbery. But where was the F-14, F-17? Where were they when these planes were hitting the Trade Center, supposedly? And it burned, even though the jet fuel could never get hot enough to burn the building down. Anyway, so that sounds like this, the government making up these lies and people believe it. And if you don't, it's a conspiracy and you're an idiot for not trusting the government. How the fuck can you trust this government? They're just liars and they're all about money. And that's why we're off the gold standards so they can print and print and print. But they're all Keynesians, so they're too stupid to understand you can't print to zero. That's what's going to happen. And they don't understand it. Fortunately, we have Austrian economics and me telling you we're all fucked unless you buy gold and silver. That's our out. We're trapped. That's our out. That's how we get out of this. So that's our way out. And when I left the Indian in the hot tub, I said, well, you've been warned. I told you the way out. You're going to end penniless, but you don't want to listen to me for whatever reason, but you'll be sorry. And I kind of just got up and left and said, well, I tried to help you, but you're smarter than me. So I left it like that. All right, let's listen to a few more minutes and see what he's got to say. If we can smell what he's thinking.
He wanted the forces to behave in an honorable way because he wanted to make sure that the people understood that this was a war they really didn't want to fight, because it was a war against brothers, against others who were like themselves. So that's the first thing. Now, when you go to this meeting in Vilnius, here are some things that people don't seem to be aware of. You pointed to Zelensky's isolation. That's because the European electorates are fed up with this war. Even in Poland, the recent polls that were taken there suggest that now 52% of the Polish population does not want to go to war with Russia. They say, well, we'll still support the Ukrainians any way we can, but we are not going to fight the Russians. That's a big change, because just a few months ago, about 4 or 5 months ago, only 30% of the Polish electorate said we don't want to fight the Russians. Well, that's now turned rather dramatically. And then when you go into Germany, France, Spain, Italy, no one is interested in mobilizing and sending hundreds of thousands of men to fight in Ukraine. There's no appetite for it, and there's no capability. A French general who's a friend of mine, he's retired now, and he worked with me when I was at SHAPE, said, Douglas, the only thing the French army is prepared to do is go on safari in Africa. I think we've built in the West these sort of boutique armies and militaries designed for employment against weak opponents that have no armies, no air forces, no air defenses. We're not prepared to fight a high-end conventional war against anyone. We could have done that in 1991, and indeed that's what we went out and did. But today we have neither the numbers nor the capabilities that we would need in what is a very different kind of war from what we saw in 1991, which was kind of a warmed-over version of World War II. So I think the European leaders are saying, look, we really need to end this. And supposedly behind the scenes, Scholz, who's the prime minister or the chancellor in Germany, and he's not a very strong man, obviously, supposedly he told Biden, look, we don't want to destroy Russia. We didn't sign on for this. We just want this to end. And I think that was the message that the Europeans behind the scenes gave them. Now, there are a couple of outliers. Once again, Warsaw and Vilnius, the Lithuanians and the Poles, who continue to talk about potentially intervening in Western Ukraine. And one of my concerns from the moment this got started was that when Ukraine collapsed and it became abundantly clear that the Ukrainian army is disintegrating and cannot possibly win under any circumstances, there would be the temptation to intervene in Western Ukraine, thinking, well, we can go in there and set up a little enclave. And I know that some of the Poles behind the scenes are actually talking about moving into Western Ukraine, setting up a so-called safe zone, and then repatriating the 3 million Ukrainians they've got in their country back to Ukraine. Well, this is not going to work. And recently, Mr. Putin made that abundantly clear. He said, if you go in under this NATO umbrella, I promise you, you will be there forever because you will never leave. In other words, if you go in, we'll bury you in that soil. So I think that's a pretty clear, unambiguous warning. Don't intervene. I hope that the rest of the NATO alliance is more sober. I think they are. And I actually think that right now, even in the White House, people are saying, Mr. President, I think we need an off-ramp. I don't think you want this to be people fighting in Ukraine, American soldiers over there, or anybody else in another 6 months when the election gets started. So I think there's pressure now to find a way out. So I hope that they will sort of sober up the polls and say, don't even think about it, stay home. But again, we don't know. Behind the scenes, you still have Blinken and Victoria Nuland and other prominent figures like that who are hell-bent for permanent war with Russia. And can they be controlled? It looks like Victoria Nuland is going to be the acting Deputy Secretary of State, which means that she's probably eventually going to be the Deputy Secretary of State. And that's right up there with the assassination of the Archduke in 1914, in my view. I wouldn't put her there. But if that happens, then I'd say bad things are still quite possible.
And we're back with Colonel Douglas McGregor. I was listening to you talk about Trump somewhere, and you're saying that he sort of overrated personal relationship in these affairs, that if he came into office, he would just bro down with Putin essentially and this whole thing. And then RFK Jr., I guess,
in private and very persuasive, that he thinks that because he was able to talk previously and effectively with Mr. Putin and President Xi, that this would be enough. But in truth, it's not. And the reason it's not enough is very simple. Why would the Russians believe anything we say now? We have lied to them about everything. We've lied to them about what we were up to in NATO. We've lied to them about our true intentions. And then we've turned around and said, the only thing you can do to satisfy us is to commit national suicide and humiliate yourselves and beg for eternal forgiveness, and then we'll talk to you. Right. You can't go forward with somebody like that. So I think it's going to take more. And that's why in this recent op-ed, I said the first thing that has to happen before we approach the Russians is that we need to make it abundantly clear, both publicly and privately, that we will accept neutrality for whatever remains of the Ukrainian state. That should be stated right up front. And then you could talk about, if you will agree to meet us for talks, we will immediately suspend all further military aid to Ukraine. And then finally, we will withdraw all of our personnel, uniformed or clandestine, on the ground in Ukraine right now and bring them out. If you did those things, those would be signals that the Russians would take seriously. They would watch it and see if it happened. If it happens, then the Russians would meet, and I think you have a chance of arranging an end to this. But today, I listened to Secretary of Defense Austin repeat what has been said previously. Oh, we expect that Ukraine will join NATO after this war ends. And President Biden told us that Putin's already lost the war. Well, I guess Mr. Putin hasn't gotten the memo.
That's wild. So are they using experimental weapons, using Ukraine to test new weapons?
I think the Russians have. To what extent we have, I don't know. But I do know that the Russians have definitely.
Anyway, so that's a good video. So that's what it looks like. There's this one. And that's your colonel who's been talking. Any of these three, I wouldn't watch all three, but they're like 45 minutes long, and they're very similar to what we heard, but this is what much easier to watch. I did watch this one, and the guy, I liked him until he didn't understand COMEX. When he said, well, what do you think gold's going to do? And he said, well, gold might hit 2,500. And you're like, okay, he doesn't understand COMEX and price fixing, and it's not at the real value. So again, a guy who doesn't understand that the gold price is fixed and the real 2,200 is not the real number. So when he says 2,500, he's clueless. No, once PRIX hits, COMEX gets destroyed, it goes to the real price, and that's what it is. But anyway, any of these three I found to be pretty much the same. But I saw him, so he's Douglas McGregor, and absolutely very good to listen to. So basically, in summary, Russia's won the war. They're up 42-0 late in the fourth quarter. The Ukrainians are surrendering because they don't want to get killed. Biden's an idiot, which we already knew. The George Soros teams are attacking because they are Catholics and they're Orthodox Roman Catholic. And the funny part is, whenever I would, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas to Daria or Jenna or any of my Russian or Ukrainian friends, they always celebrated January 7th. Oh, we do the Orthodox Christmas. So they'll take the Christmas gift December 25th, but they celebrate it January 7th. And all of them seem to be Orthodox Catholics or Christians. And they don't care I'm not, but I don't give them two Christmas gifts, but I do give them the December 25th gift. And that's why the Soros doesn't like them, because they are religious and they won't bring in these people from the Middle East and the Muslims and the Far East and the Middle East and the Iraq type of Muslims and people like that. They won't let them in they'll let them in the country to visit, but they won't let them in as citizens like we're doing. And they want to be Russian. And the Soros people don't want it. That's why when you say one world government, one world currency, there's no fucking way, because you can't get all these countries to agree on anything. So you'd never get all these countries to say, yes, let's have one ruler. Well, who's that going to be? Well, our guys should be ruling. No, it's Biden. No, it's the British guy, the king. It's the queen. It's the jack. And that's the thing. And the Germans don't want to listen, and the British don't want to listen. And then there's us and the Russians and the Chinese and the Japanese. They all want to be in control. So you never have this one world currency or one world government. It's impossible to happen. Soros can wish it all he wants because he's sad the Nazis lost. Who gives a fuck about what he thinks? You got a lot of money, it doesn't make you the king. Sorry to break it to you. So with that's the real reason of the war, is they're trying to break Russia because they won't go along with what we're doing, and Europe, and Europe's getting fed up with all these people coming in, destroying their countries. Wait, Germany, we don't mind letting people in, but we don't want to lose Germany, and France doesn't want to lose France. You can see what they're doing, and Spain doesn't want to lose Spain. And so people are waking up going, no, this is bull. We kind of let things go and this woke stuff, but no, we've had enough. We want our lives back. We want America back. We want France back and Germany. We don't want to give that up. We didn't agree to that. And Soros is old. I think he's in his 90s. So hopefully he doesn't have much more to go. We need to get rid of this guy and this Charles Schwab guy, and Gates and Zuckerberg will go broke when the dollar goes broke. That's the thing. These rich U.S. guys don't realize they're going to go broke when the dollar goes. They got a little bit of silver, so that'll keep them a little bit. So somehow they realize silver is a good answer. Warren Buffett, I think, has silver and no gold. What a freaking idiot he is. But these guys are a bunch of scares. They make Madoff. See, this is why when you hear Madoff stories, you can see where it came from. J.P. Morgan and Soros. Soros was it's real crystal clear. Soros was behind 9/11, and Soros was behind Madoff, and everything like this. He was going broke. It was in the 60s or 70s. Their bank was going broke. He he kind of hedged against it, and they were real in big trouble. So all this stuff that happens, it's Soros the one doing it. How he gets away with it, I don't really understand. Where's we need what's the we need either Liam Neeson or we need James Bond or what's the guy I was thinking of? We need Jack Bauer to really say enough is enough, and we got to take this guy out. I mean, this is ridiculous. But this is the problem when you own the judges and you own the banks. As you said in the beginning, they own the banks, they own the government, they own the money. So I can do what I want. I don't have laws to worry about because you're not going to prosecute me because they're my judges. So I can do what I want with my judges. So Epstein was one of these guys, but somehow they I don't know what happened. I guess he was blackmailing them all, and he must have blackmailed the wrong guy, and they said enough's enough, and they killed him. But this whole thing is just nuts. And there's nothing wrong with what they're doing as long as the laws would be enacted and they would get prosecuted. Like JP Morgan, they price fix. We know they get price fixed, but they never get prosecuted. They just get a fine, which since they have all the gold, it's not hard for them to pay $1 billion in fines, but they never go to jail. So they keep doing it. That's the problem. Where is the legal system is failing? And then you have all the lobbyists who keep these guys running. So why are you running government for 40 years? How do you have $5 million houses, Biden? You don't make that kind of money. I make more than the president makes or more than these senators and governors, but I don't have 5 multi-million-dollar houses. So that's what the problem is with that. Anyway, so that's who he is. I'll watch a little bit more. I think the first one was good. It was only 15 minutes, and I think that's the one I should have done. But maybe this one's 26. And for you, Bobby, I got a full match. Ric Flair against The Rock. He wooed, but The Rock won. The Rock got the W. So I found that one. Then I found the Douglas Murray today. So I think the 26 million, I think this 26-minute one is probably the best one. It's short enough where he covers most of the same thing. I think I went to the last one I watched. Yeah, 48, 49 minutes. Anyway, let's go into football. So, Bobby, did Verlander get traded? Let's go to that. Any MLB news? Yanks didn't do anything. So let's see. Max Scherzer says Mets brass. He got traded, right? Max Scherzer says Mets brass don't intend to compete until 2025 at the earliest. The Mets traded starter Max Scherzer and closer David Robinson. On Tuesday, the Mets traded 3-time Cy Young Award winner Justin Verlander to the Houston Astros. He was just at the Houston Astros. Looks like Houston's going to win another World Series. The Mets traded 3-time Cy Young winner Justin Verlander to the Astros and outfielder Tommy Pham to the Arizona Diamondbacks. And Scherzer's now a Texas. Wow. So Scherzer's on Texas, and Verlander's now on Houston. Why did Houston let him go? And then Houston gets him back. They'll win another title. So the Mets had Scherzer and Verlander, couldn't win. And now watch Houston win another title. What other good news do we have? Let's see. Orioles land Jack Flaherty from the Cardinals. Mets hold fire sale. And it's funny, the Tigers didn't do anything. They let one pitcher go. I love the Tigers. They have a pitcher who sucks. They trade him to Philadelphia, and they get a fifth. They get like a minor leaguer. Now, the Tigers have traded Verlander for a minor leaguer and J.D. Martinez for a minor leaguer and Scherzer for a minor leaguer. None of the minor leaguers have done anything. They have never gotten anything, and they don't know how to draft. What the fuck? I mean, so now they just let another pitcher who's pretty good. Why, as soon as they get good players, do they trade them and they get these minor leaguers, and they're so stupid they don't know if they got talent or not. And so they bring them up, and they don't know how to do anything. And then they go to another team, and they do pretty well. The Lions do that a lot too. Bobby, you're back. Let's go New Mexico State. There you go. Did you watch the my video on the Colonel? I didn't see a lot of that, but maybe you did. Maybe you didn't want to hear it. I don't know. The Red Sox acquired Luis Urias from Milwaukee. San Diego Padres sent Ryan Weathers. Who gives a shit? Marlins got Josh Bell. I mean, I don't know any of these players. The Phillies swapped Bailey Falter for. No wonder they, with the Pirates. God, the Mets got Phil Bickford. Oh, that'll make them. They got Phil Bickford and Adam Kolarek from the Dodgers per fan sense. Who are these people? And you wonder what's wrong with baseball. The Yankees acquired Spencer Howard from the Rangers. Okay. Padres get Royals closer Scott Barlow. So really nothing there. Let's go to football. I keep seeing these fake injuries. Where Dalvin Cook should go, but I don't want to hear where he should go. I want to hear where he is. Where did Derrick Henry go? The Colts could have avoided this ugly ordeal. Jonathan Taylor simply wants to be paid, and then he conceivably has the money. So why is Jim Irsay pouring gas on the fire? Because he doesn't want to pay him. Report Fields starters to play in preseason opener. Well, they're minor league anyway. NFL's Nick cares. Coming home, Jones won't rule out Zeke reunion. Then what's he doing? Hall of Fame Joe Klecko, a true defensive chess piece. He's going in the Hall of Fame. Raiders cut O.J. Howard before he ever plays a snap. Another Alabama guy who just didn't make it. So Fields needs the whole game, the whole Hall of Fame game. Fields should be playing. So this is what I don't understand. These guys that suck like Richardson and C.J. Stroud, they need to play the whole preseason. What are you doing not playing them? Then you start them, and then these guys have no idea what they're doing. That's what I don't understand about football now. Fields should be playing the first half of this game and all the preseason games. So should Stroud and Richardson and Bryce Young, and half these guys should be playing. Hooker for the long. Well, I think he's still out. These guys should be playing. Commanders linebacker Jamin Davis facing you. Okay. For driving 114, that's a normal drive, isn't it? Why would he go to jail for that? Yeah, I saw Professor. I was watching on the TV, so unable to comment as much, but came back on. Did you like it? Did it make sense to you, the video? And I showed you the smaller one. So if you want to watch like a 20-minute one, he basically says the same thing. And he basically says it's Russia 42, Ukraine nothing, even though everybody here will say Ukraine's winning. And then Biden looks bad because how does he end the war? He's losing. So he needs to throw the towel in, but he doesn't want to say he's wrong. And since he listens to all the George Soros and all the other idiots, and the military, Miley and this other idiot, Lloyd Austin, and since they're really running the country, what's really going to happen? Well, what they don't understand is they're running out of money. So the best thing that's happening for us is this going to zero. That's the best thing, because then these idiots can't, there's no government if you don't have money. And since they're ignoring this $35 trillion debt, people don't want to do business with us anymore. Nobody wants to buy our bonds because they're not going to get paid back. So this is what's happening. I'm going to get to my videos and my pictures in a moment. So you think the ending of the war will trigger a gold run-up? I think the gold run-up is going to happen in 2 weeks. What's happening is, as you heard, Putin doesn't want anything to do with America. He's hell-bent on with the Chinese. They don't want to play on our team. They don't want to be U.S. and London. They know who dominates that. So they're playing in their own little game with Russia, China, and India, which is we're coming out with the gold-backed dollar. So in 3 weeks, that's the kickoff. That's when gold starts jumping. And then nobody will want the dollar. They're all going to want gold. And all the banks, all the central banks, but the U.S., as we heard Alligator say, is buying gold. So JP Morgan can do what they want to keep the price down, but it's blown. As Andrew McGarry says, it's gone. There's nothing they can do anymore to keep the price down. Too many people are buying it, too much demand, it's gone. So that I don't think the war needs to end for the gold run. The gold's going to go up in a few weeks when it's fully announced Russia's coming out with a gold-backed currency. And after hearing this, and take their gold, silver, diamonds, oil, and gas. That's what they want to do with. So they want to get Putin out. They thought he was weak, get him out of there, and then just rape their whole land, get all the natural resources. They don't care about that. Just like they don't care about us. All they care about is the money. But the beautiful part is they don't realize this is worthless. So they'll print money, and they'll buy Microsoft and Tesla and whatever bullshit. But they don't understand is this is that's why I keep calling it the Titanic. This is sunk. If you don't believe me, Venezuela, look at Sri Lanka, look at Turkey, look at Japan. Look what happened to Germany. It's if you could reverse it, then Venezuela reversed it, right? But you can't. And as soon as you start seeing like a $5,000 dollar, buy as much gold as you can, because it signals the end. Because I saw Venezuela, they had $100,000, they had $1 million dollar, they had and so did Zimbabwe and everything. What happened to Zimbabwe? How did they make out? They came out with gold because they couldn't, their dollar was gone, right? So Zimbabwe came out and made gold coins, and the citizens bought that to stop the inflation. That is the only way you can stop inflation. This 5% interest rate ain't doing shit against inflation. And this guy even says, if you watch the shorter one, he even says that the inflation's much higher. Or it might be my other finance guy that I watched, is that the inflation's much higher. It's 15, 20%. Again, they're not counting certain goods. They're picking, Canadian club prices dropping and all the used car prices dropping because the interest rates are so high. So, yeah, I mean, you can make it look like any way you want, but we don't believe the government. We know they're crooks. It's obvious. And, look at 9/11 if you need any proof of the crooks that are running this place. So it needs to collapse to get the evil out, right? We're being run by very evil people. They don't want us in gold, so we're going to buy gold because we're smart enough to understand that's our out. That's our only out. That's our only way. Otherwise, we're fucked, right? We're prisoners, we're slaves. So to avoid that, we don't want to be slaves, which means we want to pretend that's gold. We want to be free. So the only way we can be free is to have our gold and silver or our assets, our mantle cards, our Rolexes, but we prefer the gold and silver because you still got to get rid of the Rolex. The gold and silver is gold and silver. That is money. So you cut right to the chase. But once this loses value and this goes to zero, your gold and silver is going to be worth 100 times what it is now because it is money, right? Money is money. Gold and silver are money. So they don't need to be priced in dollars. Again, Bitcoin, the guy's telling me in the hot tub with Bitcoin, and it's priced in dollars. If you take the dollars away, what's Bitcoin worth? Nothing. It's not. Gold has its own value. It's gold. All right. Yeah, the mantle card would be priced in, would go from dollars to gold, and the Rolex would be priced in gold instead of dollars. But the Bitcoin, what is it? It's not. I mean, it's not even paper. I don't know what Bitcoin is. It's a spreadsheet. It's an Excel spreadsheet, I guess. I don't know what it is, but it's priced in dollars. And when the dollar goes to zero, what's the Bitcoin price going to be? So I'm not arguing with the guy. I'm just saying I could have got, he kind of hoked me into saying, well, I bought Bitcoin at $10 a coin or whatever, which I don't believe. But I said, I don't care. We're here today. What are you doing now? Well, I got out. I sold it. Why'd you sell it? And he says, well, if it goes to zero now, I still make money. Well, why wouldn't you buy gold then? Gold's no risk. You're going to make 100 times your value. Bitcoin, it could go up to 100,000. Yeah, and elves could come out of the window. I mean, what the fuck is that? Based on what? Well, Bitcoin could go to 100,000. Gold will go to 100,000. That's not a maybe. It will. But Bitcoin, based on what will it go to 100 grand? And it won't go to 100 grand because the dollar won't be there to price it. So it's got to be its own price. Can it be its own price? I don't see how. So really, that's where we're at. Bobby, just the gold run up is coming in 3 weeks, and as these banks get out of it, COMEX will keep trying to keep it, but a lot of the players getting out of the derivatives, we're not seeing the run up yet because COMEX is still printing the derivatives, but they can't do as much. And it's just there's a lot of gold and silver out there, and there's a lot of demand, but the central banks are still buying it. So we don't really know. We need to have this guy tell us what's going on with gold and silver. At least we could get a real answer. But we get Alligator and Egon with that. And again, it's gold's not going up. It's the dollar going out. And we're all sure the dollar's going out because these idiots are printing it. And from what I'm hearing, they're not doing any easing. It's a lot of easing. So it's a lot of printing. So they're printing and printing and printing. That hasn't stopped. So from that standpoint, the dollar's being buried and buried and buried. And just like Rome and just like England and just like every other fucking country, Venezuela, Sri Lanka, Turkey, Zimbabwe, the inflation's there. It doesn't go away. Once you've printed, it's gone. And hyperinflation is the fear that I better buy the tuna now or the milk or the bread because the prices keep going up. And as soon as I get money, I go to the store and buy it. That is what hyperinflation is, period. It's not 50% inflation for 2 or 3 quarters. It's the mass frenzy of people realizing we're fucked. So it's like you realize there's a fire. If you saw Glorious Bastards, right? So there's a fire breaks out in the back room, and then it starts in the screen, and then everybody realizes, oh fuck, there's a fire, and they're all trapped, and then they start panicking to get out. And that's exactly what it's going to happen when everybody realizes the dollar's on fire. And they're going to say, oh shit, it's worthless. And they're going to run to the store to try to buy shit. And they're not prepared with gold and silver. So I am ahead of the game. I'm the Joker, but a good Joker. And I'm ahead of the game. And I'm saying that we know this is going to happen. We prepare for it. And the only way we can prepare for it is gold and silver. And this is not a guess. It's not an opinion. These are facts. This is what I learned in a master's program for Austrian economics. The only way out is gold and silver. But then don't listen to me. You can see all the central banks buying gold. Why would they buy gold? Because they know their dollars are going to shit. And the only way out for them is to keep their countries is gold. So if you don't believe me, you believe them. But you can believe me. I got no horse in the race but helping you. I'm not selling you the gold. I'm not making this up. I'm not Peter Schiff saying, well, you got to buy gold and this is going to happen. And by the way, you're going to buy it from me and I'm going to charge you this huge premium. So I'm not a seller of gold. I wouldn't sell it at this price. And, so that's what's happening. But look for gold to go way up. But what was I going to say? Oh, so let's look at a few pictures I got. Let's see. Nothing else important. Again, Joe Burrow should be okay to go. So Ford cut as much as $10,000. So why is Ford competing with themselves for the electric vehicle, for the F-150? And so they cut the electric as a glut of expensive electric vehicles have begun piling up at dealerships, the New York Times reported. Well, fuck, interest rates are up. You're not selling cars anyway. So if nothing happened and you didn't have electric cars, the interest rates are driving the price up. As costs go up, demand goes down. Who the fuck's buying a car with 7-8% interest and you're going to pay $900 a month in payments? Who's buying a car? You don't need a car. The interest rates are zero. You should have bought. I bought my car in 2018. It was 2% because I could smell what was cooking was coming, these higher interest rates. So I could smell it. And I said, I better buy it now while the rates are low or keep my 03 Camry for another 10 years. So I figure this is the last car I'll be buying because, it's right now I'm fortunate to work remotely. If I move to Europe, I'll probably sell the car. Switzerland, I'll go stay with Egon. We'll be at the lake somewhere. The number of unsold battery-powered trucks and cars has shot up to 90,000. So the regular F-150s, or I guess I don't even know, these are just, there's 90,000 on the lot of inventory of battery-powered ones and another ton of electric ones. Just unbelievable. And yet it's all very easy to understand. If you understand what I'm teaching, you'd go, well, price goes up. Market's here, price goes up. We're not going to sell any until we get the price down to market. And with higher interest rates, you've lowered the market by the interest rates. So if the market's 30,000 and now you're selling it at 50, but then we raise interest rates 7%, The market just dropped to 20,000. So now you got this huge gap that you've got to close, but they won't because they're too stupid, because they're Keynesians. Let's see. So Tesla investors have pushed its market value up by $550 billion this year, shrugging off shrinking profit margins as price cuts drive sales. So let's see. We can't sell the car. We got to lower the price, which lowers our margin, right? So if it's $10 and we can sell it at 20, we make it. But if we got to sell it at 11, we're really not making much money. So when we look at that, but let's buy the stock anyway because it's Tesla. What a bunch of idiots. I don't want to read forward. Here's something interesting. Market Pulse. Just a day after the Treasury Department refused a $1 trillion borrowing estimate, released a $1 trillion for the third quarter, questions are being raised about the extent to which foreign and domestic bonds can continue to keep up the demand of the U.S. government. So we need to pay for the debt. We need to raise money. We need people to buy our bonds, and nobody there. Nobody wants to buy our debt. That is the white flag. That's it. That the game's over because we need to pay our debt. If nobody wants it, no demand, we're fucked. That's when gold goes up, Bobby. Further details about Treasury financing need to be released, man, whatever. So if we can't get a buyer, means the Fed's going to buy our own bonds. What does that mean? We're going to buy our own debt? How does that work? So, It's official. The battery crunch is the new chip shortage. The battery crunch. Towing can significantly. Okay, these are 10 reasons. So what was this battery crunch? So there's not enough batteries to go into these electric cars. They can't get them. There's chip shortages. There's silver shortages. So now they're sitting on electric cars that they don't have they can't make the battery without the silver and the lithium. And therefore, these cars that are almost made are made without batteries. They're waiting on the batteries, which they can't get the silver for. The battery crunch. So they can't sell these cars because there's no batteries. These are like the stupidest people I've ever seen in my life. How are they running companies? It's amazing they let Keynesians run the companies, right? The Harvard guys, the Yale guys, all these guys that are fucking clueless to Say's law, to economics, Adam Smith. How are they running companies? And they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And then, you knew silver was going down. You should have bought it and made your batteries maybe ahead of time. So now they have cars with no batteries in it. Yeah, good luck selling those. All right, the top 10 things that people don't know about electric cars. The 10 problems. Towing can significantly reduce the driving range of an electric truck like the Rivian R1T, making long trips with a trailer less convenient than with the diesel-powered truck like the Ford F-150. So if you start towing your camper, your boat, something, the charge doesn't last 300 miles. It's far less. So good luck going up north. And you're towing a boat. Well, it's gonna take you 3 days to get there. Replacing the battery in an electric vehicle can be extremely expensive, with costs ranging from $13,000 to $20,000 for Teslas, making it significantly long-term maintenance expense. Can you fucking believe this? So you pay what, 30, 40 grand for a Tesla? Oops, my battery goes. It probably only lasts you a year or two. and it's going to cost you 13 to 20 grand for a battery. Yeah, let me buy one of those. Even if an engine goes in your regular car, it's a couple thousand. The public charging network for electric cars is limited compared to the number of gas stations available. Really, I didn't know that. For traditional vehicles, which can make recharging on long road trips more challenging and time consuming. However, the adoption charges by other automakers and the standardization of EV charging systems could help expand the charging infrastructure. So basically, you're on a trip, you can't find a charging station, you're fucked. Where my gas-powered car could go, I could drive down to Tampa on basically just filling the car up one time. If I left totally full, I could get about 500 miles in that and then easily find a gas station and easily fill it up for $30. Yeah, I want to buy electric. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Electric car owners boast loudly about the lower cost of refueling, the convenience of doing so at home, and the incredible acceleration offered in modern EVs. These are only a few qualities found in EVs that owners love to tell us about, but what do they keep to themselves? So the lower cost of refueling, I got a question, because how often are you charging and how much does it cost to charge and how long does it take? So your time, I'm about 3 minutes at a gas station and it's $35 and it's every 2 weeks approximately. Again, working remotely. So if I had an electric car, take me 5 hours, 8 hours to charge it. Am I going to a gas station to charge it? And how long is that going to take? And what's its cost? And how often am I doing it? I might do it 3 times as often and waste, let's say it's 2 hours to charge it. So I'm wasting 2 hours. Then I got to go back 3 days later and waste another 2 hours. And, and the cost might be, but then my 2 hours standing there is money. Time is money, as we all know. So I don't have time to waste finding a charging station, then sitting there getting my car charged. Here we go. FOMO rules the stock market now. So I'm going to explain FOMO. FOMO is fear of missing out. So this is an irrational thing. So I better buy Apple now before it goes up. I better buy Microsoft before it goes up, or Tesla, or any of these stocks. I better buy it now before it goes up. What the hell are you talking about? I kind of do it with gold and silver, but we know those are going up. We know why they're going up. So there is a little bit of fear in gold and silver. I want to buy it before I can't afford it, but hardly the same with Microsoft stock or Amazon or whatever. I mean, there's only 5 or 6 stocks. That's about it. Everything else is getting crushed. And there's Amazon, Microsoft, Alphabet, which I don't know, Google and Facebook for some reason. I don't know how they make money. And Tesla, I don't know how their stock's going up with, like I said, with these interest rate hikes. So basically, what the fuck? You've got panic. Now, this is the same panic that's going to happen once they realize the dollar's out. Fear of my dollar won't be worth anything. I got to run to the store and buy milk and eggs and chicken. So that is hyperinflation in stocks. I better buy it before it goes up, because of course it's going up because the market's all better. Inflation's down. There's no recession. Bullshit. So I better buy the stocks now. And when the stocks drop, they're going to lose their asses. They won't know what hit them. That's the problem when you listen to the MSNBCs and the CNNs and CNBC and Kramer and all these other idiots who don't know what the hell they're talking about. See, if you don't know what you're talking about, that's how you get killed. I better buy the stock before it goes up too high. Like it doesn't come down. Stocks only go up. I told you that story at Myers. I'm talking to the guy. I'm in Amazon. The stock only goes up. Oh, Where have I been? I didn't know stocks only go up. I thought they went up and down. So I look at Amazon and the stock went down $10, and I show the guy I thought it only went up. So these people that think I better buy before it goes up are out of their fucking minds. They should not be invested. These are all Attack on Wall Street guys. I better buy before they go up because they won't come down. They're only going to go up because there's no inflation, no recession. These are morons. These are what they like on the Titanic, right? I want people in stock. You know why I want people in stock? Because I get commission. And I know they're all going to lose their ass, but I really don't care. As long as I make commission on the fear of missing out people, I get commission on their stocks. But I don't want you in gold because I don't get commission on that. That is the Madoff scam. That is the margin call scam. We don't care if you make money. We want our commission. And when it goes south, we're just going to dump them. We don't care about you. We only care about ourselves. We only care about the companies still liable. And we're going to get bailed out anyway because we run the government and we're going to tell them to bail us out and they're going to print money. Except this time they won't be able to print money because the money won't have a value. And this is the whole problem that Wall Street and the banks are going to face. They're going to want their bailouts. You can't print money that's worthless. So what are you going to do? Are you going to print new money that's worthless, or are you going to bail them out with gold? Unfortunately, you can't because you can't print with gold all this extra Ponzi scheme. You can't Ponzi scheme. You can Ponzi scheme this by printing it to zero, but most people don't know it's zero. But you can't Ponzi scheme gold. You cannot print it. You cannot just say, I'm going to bail you out with gold. That's why they don't want gold. That's why we want gold, because it can't be printed to zero. There's no risk that we holding gold and silver. In fact, the $25 silver is a fucking joke, but I hate that people sit there and go, well, I think it'll hit 50. Dude, it's price fixed, not at market levels. So the real price on silver now is, I'd say, about $500 an ounce. And when the fear of missing out comes, when this happens, right, fear of missing out, what do you think the price of silver is going to be when people go, oh shit, I better buy it while it's at $300 an ounce? What do you think the hysteria of gold and silver, when it finally wakes up and people finally realize this is my point of these big prices I tell you about, $50,000 gold. Because once the hysteria hit, the fear of missing out at 10,000, at 15,000 an ounce, the fear is going to drive it up to 50 because people are going to want to get it and they're not going to be able to. So they're going to bid it up and bid it up and bid it up because of the hysteria of, oh, fuck, the money's worthless. Just go ask the Germans in the 1920s and the Zimbabweans and the Venezuelans and the Argentinas and the Brazils and the Turkey and all of and wait for the British and the Euro and the Japanese aren't far behind. It's all going down because you can't just print it to zero and with this debt. So you print to pay the debt with what? This is why the U.S. isn't on the gold standard, because their whole Keynesian system has already been proven it doesn't work. And now they think it can, and they can adjust it. And they think, but then at the end of the day, it's not, you can't do anything with it. You cannot keep printing the money. Eventually, the money's worthless. And they're going to find out the hard way. We already know that's the answer to the riddle, and we're sitting on fine. Money goes out, we got gold and silver, and we got as much as we can get, as much as you can eat. That's why, Bobby, when you say you got 5-10 ounces, I'm like, Bobby, that's some serious investing here, because you're going to have fear of missing out, because when it hits $500, what are you going to do? You're going to freak out. You're going to say, fuck, I should have bought more at 28. And that's what I'm trying to prevent, because we see this. We see the iceberg. There it is. It's fucking out there. I can see it. It's 10 miles away and we're coming into it. But the boat, for some reason, can't. We're like the other boat, right? The Titanic going to the iceberg, and we're the California, and we're going, yeah, no, we see all these icebergs. We're stopping. And that's the difference. We see the iceberg. We know they're going to hit it. We're telling you what to do. Get into the gold and silver, but you better buy a lot, because once the fear of missing out starts happening, what are you going to do? What are you going to do at $500 an ounce silver? What are you going to do at $5,000 an ounce gold? Okay, maybe you can buy a quarter ounce at $1,200. I just bought a half ounce at $1,000. I don't pay attention to COMEX because it's not real. So all you know is there's heavy demand for gold and silver now. There's very heavy demand. China, Russia. So let's look at Putin. After what you just heard, he's got 20,000 tons of gold. Do we believe Putin, who's saying, I don't want a war with Ukraine. I don't want NATO at my border, because I don't trust the Americans, and I don't trust the British, and I don't trust NATO. They're going to come and steal my gold and steal my diamonds and steal my silver and my oil. I don't trust them. And so therefore I don't want them near me, which is, logical. So, but wait a minute, he's got 20,000 tons of gold. He must know something. He must understand. They got gold mines in Russia. They just print the gold, and it goes into Putin's his little backyard. He's probably got a big basement there that Egon can go into, and it's probably a mile deep, and it's just stacked with gold, and he goes in there and he smiled. But he's got gold bars, Bobby, not the coins that I got. And that's the difference. When you get the big gold bars, that's how many coins. Well, that's what the central banks buy. They don't buy the coins. But I can't afford a bar. I'd love to buy a bar, but I can't afford it. Maybe a silver bar, but then what's the point? So again, 10 ounces, the 20 ounces I buy is going to buy me 2 ounces of gold at 40, 50,000 an ounce, when silver hits 1/10 of that. So that's how we can be prepared. Your silver going to buy you gold, Bobby. It's not really for barter. It's for value. It's to buy gold with. People think there won't be currency and they need to barter. There'll be currency. They'll come out with a new, because they're going to try to fool you. So Biden will say, you know what? It's Putin's fault. We spent a lot on the war. We're coming out with a new currency. But it won't be backed by gold. It'll just be backed by the government. And as soon as you hear that, it's the same shit as we got now. But he'll try to pass it off so they can keep printing and keep inflating and keep stealing. And we keep buying gold with it. So we understand that. And maybe we take, a part of our gold and we take it to Egon in Switzerland and say, can you put this in a safe for us? Now we got to be careful. We've got to make sure we can get to Switzerland. But I think we might end up in Europe, because as Europe sees what's happening and they're kind of fighting back, saying, this is not what we signed up for. Hungary, Poland, Sweden, we might want to end up there, because I don't know if we're going to be able to get out of here, right? Are we going to be able to fly there? And I know there's going to be new visas we're going to need to get to Europe next year. We can do it online. It's cheap, but you know how that goes. That's the start of it. So we'll need to get these visas to travel to Europe. Is insane. And what's the money going to be worth? And can we, what's the currency going to look like when everything blows up? So what's the new Swiss currency and the new euro look like, and the new ruble and the new dollar? Because you're going to need new currencies once all these blow up because of Mr. Soros. So anyway, if you think there's fear of missing out on fucking Apple stock, wait till the gold goes and the silver goes and multiply that by infinity, because I just watched Joe Black, and that's what you're going to have with gold. So that's what I got there. So not much going on in football yet. We're waiting. I didn't really talk baseball today, but we did hit the Verlander lock on Sunday. I told you to take Verlander for the Mets. Bobby was playing, and he won like 4-1. And now he's on Houston again, and now we're really going to bet him because now he's got an offense. So look out for Verlander. So yeah. So Bobby lost Verlander and Scherzer. So Scherzer's on Texas, Verlander's on Houston. If they happen to play each other, the lock is under. You don't fuck around, you go under. However, if they play other aces or other twos, we bet under. So if Verlander faces a guy with a 2.5 ERA, it's a lock under. If he faces a guy with a 6 ERA, the lock's Verlander. Same thing with Scherzer. Same thing with McClanahan. Although he has some bad games, man. He gives up 5-6 runs. I guess they all do, but anyway. What else? So gold, we know. Yeah, I bought another half ounce, Bobby. It was full harmonic. I asked the guy, where are you getting these from? And he goes, people coming in, they need money. They give it to me. He gives them to him at spot, and he sells it to me at spot plus 50 or whatever. But I don't care because I'm just I have the fear of missing out. I look at any gold I can collect at a reasonable price. I'm happy as hell. I throw it into my little bag and off I go. So very happy to get it. Silver, he had a lot of buffaloes, $27. What you think of real estate market? It's a dog. Are you thinking of buying or selling? Remember, interest rates force the price up. So let's take a look at it. So you got a $500,000 house. Interest rates are now 8%, which forces the total price up, because unless you have gold and you're going to pay gold for the house, you're going to take out a mortgage. So it's the cost, 400, 500,000 plus an 8% interest rate. So that's forcing the total cost up to here, but it's here. So you should know what the answer is. You're not going to be able to sell it here. Well, you're going to have to reduce your price to get to market. So if you're going to buy, you only want to pay 400,000 for it because you're getting fucked because of the interest rate. So you're lowering the cost. You're looking at cost plus interest rate. That's what you're looking for. What's my monthly premium? And your $2,000 went to $3,000, and you're like, fuck. So if you're trying to sell, you got to come down to get to market. If you're trying to buy, you're fucked. You're way high. This is why I'm in an apartment. But what we're going to do is buy with a piece of gold. We won't need a mortgage. We'll buy. The seller will be so happy to get gold. We'll be fine with that, and we don't have to deal with the interest rate. So the cost of the house will go down because the interest rate is making it more expensive for anybody trying to buy. So if you're trying to buy, you can't afford it. If you're trying to sell, who are you selling to? The buyer you're trying to so you're on this side, you're trying to sell it, but the buyers are down here because the interest rate lowers their I can only afford a $300,000 house now because with interest, I now because they just look at what is my monthly payment, and they don't want an ARM, they want a fixed rate. So I think that answered your question. Do I think it's correcting? Here's the answer to that. It's correcting. Inflation is not going down, it's going up. We understand that inflation is the devaluation of the dollar, not prices. So put everything I'm teaching you into perspective. It's not correcting because the prices are coming down, but the interest rates are going up. So they might sit there and blurb it. Oh, interest rates went from 7 to 6.998 and make a big deal out of it. But that's only if you have perfect credit. If you don't have perfect credit, it's 10% probably. So do I think it's correcting? By that, I think you mean the costs are coming down, but the interest rate makes the total more than it was. So your $400,000 house is worth $3, but then the interest forces it back to the $5. So your house is $400,000 with $100,000 in interest rate, so it's $500,000. Now you got to lower the price to $3, but your interest rate's now $200,000 to get to $500,000. So no, it's not correct. There's no correction. Inflation kills the money and raises the interest rate. And it ain't started yet. Okay, the interest rate's going to go up and up and up because they can't control it unless they start making money back by gold. We're going to see a Venezuela, Zimbabwe. It'll be far, far in the hundreds, right? Interest rates are going to go to the moon. So I don't know if you're trying to buy or sell. I know you wanted to buy the property on the beach. I would wait until people have to sell, and then you're going to pull your gold out of your pocket and buy it with that. That should be your game plan. You want to buy when people have to sell. Look, I need the money. I need it. I've got my ass. So what happens is, let's carry this out. As the inflation keeps going and the FOMC, the fear of missing out, keeps going, the economy is going to tank because costs are too high. Nobody can afford a lot. So you're going to need money to pay rent and eat and stuff like that, gas. So as you need money, what's going to happen? You're going to sell your assets, right? So what's your assets? All right. Do you have baseball cards? Do you have Rolex? Do you have, a Heisman Trophy? Do you have a house? Do you have a car? All your assets are now in play because you didn't need the money now, but now you do. So now the house, you're going to need to sell it. You're going to take whatever you can get for it. Now you can say, I want 500 grand, and then there's no buyer. But now you need money to eat. Yeah, I'll take 100 grand. That's fine. And that's what we're waiting to step in. And that's when they mean the rich get richer, because the rich sit there on the sidelines with their money. And when people start panicking, it's Eddie Murphy in Trading Places. I'll take 100 shares of that, 100 shares of that. And that's what Warren Buffett is trying to do. But he doesn't realize is he's got money, and money is going to be zero. But he's too stupid to buy gold and silver. So he's going to be zero. He won't be able to afford. He'll be selling his shit to get assets. But you're going to sell your assets so you can eat and electricity and make sure your family's fed and heat and light. So that's what you're waiting for to buy the house and the car. You'll be buying a Mercedes for an ounce of silver. People who have to sell, who need the money, is what you're going to buy. Now, I'm not trying to be mean, and we'll take advantage of the poor, and we'll take advantage of those. We're not being mean, actually, because we're helping them out. They need money. We're just smart enough to have the real money, the gold and the silver. So I don't mean any offense to the people, but if they're not going to listen to us and we sit there and yell, buy gold and buy silver, and you don't want to listen to us, you get what's coming. And what's coming is this going to zero. And then you got a nice $100,000 car that you shouldn't have bought in the first place. You're going to need to sell it. You got a nice house. You're going to need to sell it. If you're not buying gold, you're not prepared. You'll then sell your assets. Just like when I go to the gold store and there's a Philharmonic. What the fuck's this doing there? You guys didn't go to Austria. He says, oh, people come in and they sell it. They need the money. So in effect, that's what I'm already doing. I'm doing it in gold. Somebody needs to sell. He sells the Philharmonic half ounce to the gold store. He gives them money. And then I come in and buy the Philharmonic at a real cheap price of $1,022. It should have been $1,100 for the half ounce. And there you go. So I took advantage of him selling, but indirectly. I didn't pay him for it. He went to the store. I went to the store. He sells it to the store. I buy it from the store. So the store is the middle, is the market, right? So that's okay. I mean, they needed the money. He helped them out. I wanted the gold because I don't want to be left out and not have it when it goes up. And that's what happens. So his real estate correcting, there's no fucking way it's correcting. But what'll happen is it'll drop when people need the money. They'll sell their assets. And then you buy. Then I'll let you buy. It's true, Professor. If they don't want to listen, it's their fault if they lose money for not smelling what the metals is cooking. Well, this is why I kind of get frustrated in the hot tub or here, or when I hear the Canadian go, oh, I just sold my house for 500 and I put 400 grand to buy another one for 700. Are you not listening to anything I'm saying? What the fuck are you doing in my class and you're not smelling what I'm cooking? I don't know if you would have. If I sold my house for 500 grand, I would never have put 400 grand down. I'd have went to the guy's store with 400 grand and bought as much silver or gold as I could have. That's the play because gold's been manipulated down. And we're waiting for gold. The demand's here. The gold price is here. That's why I would have put 400 grand into gold at 2,000 an ounce. And then when it goes up to demand, see, it's being held down. The houses aren't. He paid 700 grand for a $200,000 house in Canada, of course, in the midst of the burning fires. So we're buying something so cheap, $27 an ounce silver. Fucking Oreos are going to be $27 an ounce for the bag soon. $27 an ounce silver with demand through the roof, plus the electric battery and solar demand. There's only so much silver, right? But it's actual money, so it's a double header. So once it gets out of here and goes to demand, this is 2,000 an ounce. And you're at 27. So you're getting into something still not priced correctly. I don't understand why people can't get the concept of COMEX's price fixing. Maybe because we gamble and we bet football. Do we understand price fixing? Because we understand when the games are fixed, and we know that's not reality. So if the price, if the silver is 27 an ounce and we know it's fixed, we know that the 27 an ounce is not reality. It should be 500-600 by now. The way everything else is moving, that's at least a $500 ounce silver priced normally, and gold's 5,000 to 10,000. We know if you let it go, that's what the price should be based on Oreos, Cheerios, Coca-Cola, Pepsi. We can see what their prices have doubled. So why wouldn't a gold have doubled to, well, the difference is the $2.50 for the Oreos is the real price of the market. I'm going to put it on the shelves at the grocery store, and then people are either buying it or not. And now I marked it up, but the $2.50 was the real price. We don't have the real price of silver. $27 is not the real price, my point. So we can't even say it's going up. I don't get these guys going, well, it'll have to go up 100% to go to 50. No, it won't, because 25 is not reality. Like I'm saying, right now it's 500 an ounce is probably the reality where it should be. And then once people realize it's the fear of missing out, which is what's going to happen. And that's what I keep trying to tell you, Bobby. You understand what's going on. So once you see the price of silver at 500, you're really, the bells and whistles are going to go off because you really know what's going to go on. You're going to say, fuck, I better buy it now because I know it's going to 1,000. Most people don't. They just want to get it. But you actually understand it's going to 1,000. It's going to 2,000. That's why I keep pushing you at the 27, because we know that's not right. We know what price fixing is, what the derivatives. That's why I show Alligator and Egon and the guys, because they understand and they're explaining it as well as me. It's just more people telling you the same thing. I understand it. I don't need those guys to get the point across, but I'm figuring, well, if you see Alligator say it and you see Egon say it and you see me saying it, the light, one of us is going to make the light go on. So your fear is going to be 5 times as high as everybody else's, because they won't know the real price is 2,000. You know the real price is 2,000. And when you see it hit 500, you're going to really freak out. You're going to like, oh, fuck, I better buy it. So I don't want you to go through that pain. You can't lose if you buy it here. Believe me, we know bricks. Now we know what Putin's up to. That's why I said this video tonight. So now you understand exactly what this is a colonel saying. The Russians have won the war. It's just Biden's been the one keeping them there, and the Millies and the Lloyd Austins and the Soros have been putting it in because Russia doesn't want to go along with letting all the Muslims and the Middle East and the Chaldeans into their country illegally. Russia's a Catholic, or what is it, a Orthodox Catholic Christian country. That's how they're going to stay. Well, the Soros want everybody to be, not, no God. I can't think of the word. They don't want that. So that's the key. So that's why they're attacking Russia. But they thought Russia was weak, and they're realizing we can't beat Russia because they don't want to go to war with Russia. We'll have Ukraine fight Russia. The fuck? And Zelensky goes along with it? What an idiot. So once we realize that we can't beat Russia, now we got to get out, right? In other words, I made a bet with my aces and I've been raised. And I got raised. I know I'm beat. So let's say we're playing poker, right? And I got my aces and I bet $30. I'm playing $2. Everybody goes out but 2 guys. The flop comes and the guy checks, and I bet my $30 with my aces, and he check raises me. I know I'm beat. I fold. I don't keep playing the hand to see that I'm beat. I know I'm beat because he check raised me. And the guys I play with downtown Detroit, if they check raise me, they've got more than aces. I'm not an idiot, so I fold. Well, that's what these guys are having a hard time doing. They're going, well, we know we lost, but we don't want to admit we're idiots and never should have been in the war, and it's all George Soros' fault. So what do we do? And that's the problem. They don't know how to fold the hand that they've lost, and that's where we're at. Now, yes, that should make the gold go way up because Russia's not afraid of the U.S., and therefore they're going to announce it in 3 weeks, and gold's going to go through the roof. Silver will go through the roof. The fear of missing out will change from Apple. And once people realize that once people realize that what have I told you? You've got $25 trillion in foreign investment, which is the Brits, the Germans, the Russians, the Chinese, all these people in the stock market and the banks in the U.S. who are foreigners. What do you think they're going to do? Once they realize, wait a minute, this debt's big, and we can't find anybody to buy our bonds and buy our debt to pay our interest, you can't just ignore $35 trillion in debt and just say, well, we won't pay it. No, you've got interest on it. You've got to pay it. So once they realize it, they pull their money out. All the stocks drop. That's why the stock market's going to crash. Once they realize it, and it's just cooking real quick right now. And between bricks and the debt, gold's going to the moon, right? So once people realize that, their money's coming out of the stock market, because once the stock market drops and these people that are in it now, fear of missing out, they're going to say, oh, fuck. Now the fear of missing out is I better get out before it's zero, and I better get into gold and silver before they hit the moon. That's the one thing that hasn't gone up yet. That's what's going to go up. So that's the real key. So once everybody realizes, then the fear of missing out is gold and silver and the stock market. What do you think all the foreigners are going to do? They're getting out of the dollar. They're going to buy gold and silver. COMEX will blow up because nobody's going to pay attention to it. I don't know if anybody would sell it at, silver's at 27 and all of a sudden it blows up. Are you still going to sell it at 27? I don't think COMEX is going to sit there at 27. So once they, because the people writing the derivatives are all going to get fucked because they're betting the price goes down, and the price goes up, they're fucked because the price will never go down. They're going to lose their ass. So they're not going to play the game. So once it all happens, the fear of missing out, the hyperinflation fear, once this debt hits, then there'll be hyperinflation. The banks go out. People get the money out of the banks. That's what I'm warning you. You're so much better just you're not getting interest in the bank anyway. Even if you do, you pay taxes on it, and it's so little. I heard something about 5% interest rate. I'm like, the guy says, I'm losing my ass in the stock market. At least I can get 5%. No, you're not, because inflation's 15%. You're losing 10%, but you're paying interest on it like an idiot. The best thing you can do is get your money into your safe, get it into gold and silver. That's the best thing you can do with your money. Do not keep too much in the bank. Little pay for the bills. But if, like me, I'm working, I'm not worried about it. I paid rent today or tomorrow. It hits on the 2nd, even though it's due the 1st. But I got it set up as an auto pay. So I think tomorrow it hits. So I got paid, pay rent, fine. Then the next check's the golden check, because there's no rent. It's a car insurance and food and the girls, and that's about it. So that's my gold one. Or if I want to pay more on the credit card or put more in the safe, I don't know. I like do a little bit of each. Anyway, that's really what's going to happen. So once people realize the dollar's out, that's when they start selling. That's when the fire sale of the assets goes. If you're thinking of buying a house, Bobby, wait till the bottom runs out and the price drop, because people will need the money because they're not smart enough to buy the gold and silver. Like the Canadian. Well, we won't hear the Canadian because I didn't block them. I just silenced them. I don't block. Phil's not blocked, or the Canadian's not blocked. They can watch the show. They just can't talk on it. They've lost that privilege. It's a privilege to be in my classroom. So therefore, if you start with ridiculous comments and I happen to silence you, well, you're silenced. But you can still watch it. So if I let the Canadian back on, we'll see him crying that, yeah, I guess I should have listened to you with the 400,000 and bought gold instead of a house. You're buying real estate into a declining market, higher interest rate because of inflation market. If you understand inflation, you understand interest rates have to go up. If you understand that, why would you buy a house? Your mortgage rate's going to go up. The price of your house has to go down, as we said, because of the mortgage, the interest rates going up. You don't think it's bad in Canada? They're having their own crisis there. I mean, everywhere there's heavy inflation, there's heavy recession, everywhere. It's not just here. So anyway, that's what you got to understand. And then once the unemployment hits, People will need money, and the government ain't going to be able to write them unemployment because the money's worth. Well, they'll come out with a new currency because the government has to look like, oh, we'll protect you. It wasn't us. It was Putin that caused the inflation. They'll blame Putin. But you've got to understand, this is not a correcting market. It's like, did the Titanic correct? As I say, the Titanic's sinking. Did they somehow miraculously stop it from sinking? It's on the bottom of the Atlantic. They can't stop it from sinking. So therefore, to ask about the real estate, is it correcting? It's the Titanic. It's going down. It's going to, be at the bottom of the Atlantic. There's no correction because it's not market driven. If it was market driven, where it didn't have to do with inflation and interest rates, I would agree with you. It would be correcting. Same thing with Tesla. If you own stock of Tesla, you're out of your mind. How are they going to sell any car? They can't sell cars now because A, nobody wants electric. But B, when the interest rates go up and the cars get so expensive, how the fuck is anybody who wants the car? Buying a car is the last thing on your mind to add $1,000 a month payment to your expenses when you can't afford your food and your electricity. Oh, I want to add a car payment to it? You're not buying a new car. You're not buying electric. You're going to buy a gas. You're going to buy an old Toyota for $10,000. You certainly don't want a $40,000 new car at 10% interest. Oh, let's add $1,000 a month payment to our food and everything. What are you, insane? Why would you want that? Who in their right mind would want that? So nobody's running to buy it with the higher interest rates in the first place, and nobody wants electric. So if you own stock in Tesla, sell it immediately. Everything else I would out of, because you know it's going to happen. You just aren't sure. So you could stay in Apple another month and make a few dollars versus the risk of losing a bunch of money. So do you want to risk a little to lose a lot, or do you want to just get out and put the money there and then buy gold and silver when you can? And the one thing with gold and silver is you don't have to worry about that. It cannot go to zero. It will not go down. Real gold and silver, you don't even look at COMEX. You don't pay attention to it. The bricks are going to make it go through the roof. The dollars are going out. They're all being inflated, which means they're all going to zero. It doesn't mean prices, and don't believe this 3% inflation, and don't believe there's no recession. We're in the middle of a recession now. Go to the grocery store. We're in the middle of an inflation store. When you see Coca-Cola at $3 a bottle for a 2-liter, you talk to me when it's back down to $1.50, then I'll believe inflation's down. When interest rates go back to 3%, then we can talk about inflation down. And Bobby's concern, is the market correcting? When you see the interest rate go down to 3, the market corrected. You're not going to see that, however, because I'm not going to loan you money and only get 3% when there's this massive inflation that I know about. You watch, the banks will start collapsing again very soon. Let's see what happens Labor Day. Banks will start going. So that's why with BRICS announcing and nobody buying the debt and $35 trillion in debt, and you got major inflation in your currency and the BRICS and all the other currencies, and BRICS saying, you know what, we're going to come out with a dollar backed by gold to compete with your dollar that's going out. And our dollar backed by gold wins because you can't compete with gold. There's no competition. That's why it's the gold standard. So we don't want to fuck around with the gold standard. We know that's the gold standard. So it's really a no-brainer. I mean, I told the guy says, well, at the hot tub, well, I got a little stock and I got a little Bitcoin, a little gold. I said, I'm 99% in gold and silver, and the other 1%'s in my safe. And that's it. And then I'm making money and I buy more gold and silver. As soon as I get my dollars, as soon as I get paid in this, I go buy gold and silver. So theoretically, I'm getting paid in gold and silver. Bobby, I hope you switched and got your checks in gold and silver because you're not going to want them in dollars. What are you going to do with your dollars? You're going to get paid in dollars that are going to be, you're going to light your cigars with them. So hopefully you were able to change. If not, as soon as you get paid, buy your gold and silver. I mean, that's really a no-brainer for you, Bobby, but what else are you going to do? Keep the money in the bank and then watch it go to zero and go, well, I just threw away money. So I hope you're at least taking 60, 70% out, doing whatever, but now is not the time to invest in real estate. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer gold and silver because it hasn't gone up yet, right? Demand's here and the price is being held down. So if you don't think that COMEX will get out of it, that's one thing, but we all know it's gone. I mean, COMEX won't be able to keep it down anymore. No, I'll probably get more next week. Because I got paid this week and I had rent. And next week, not this Thursday, but the following Thursday, I get Social Security on Monday and I get my paycheck on Thursday. So it's a double. So I was in a quarter ounce and a half more than put money into the safe to save. I believe I'm protected for work for at least a year. It's Harley Davidson. I don't see them going out. If they do, it's going to be a while, but they're motorcycles. And it's mostly not electric. It's mostly gas powered. So what I do is senior financial analyst for fixed asset group and projects. They need me. The guy quit or moved on, and they need somebody to do all the projects. And every month end, I'm busy. So I don't see where I know I'm there at least a year. I'm either going to get hired or they can keep contract for 3 years. So at minimum, I should be there 3 years contract, but I can see getting hired. They like the job I'm doing. They understand me. This was the problem at the last job I was at. They didn't read my resume. The CFO interviews me, and I'm like, he's out of his mind. I'm like, you know what I can do? I can't do all these engineering studies. You wanted me to do like a labor piece rate or something. I don't know how to do that. And the problem is at my age, I don't want to learn. I know what I can do, and I'm very good at what I do now, SAP and Excel, and analyze and do spreadsheets and budgets and forecasts. That's what I enjoy to do. I don't want to learn how to do labor studies. Not only that, but what's the point of it? I mean, these guys are so unorganized. There's no really point in doing it. We can't keep track of it. Even if I said it took 12 minutes to do something, you can't track it because it's too unorganized. So the guy had no clue what I could or couldn't do. He didn't understand what I did anyway, so it was ridiculous. But here I'm doing exactly what I like: Excel, SAP, working with program managers on their projects, and it's perfect. I do all these Excel projects. I fancy them up and I put formulas in, and my boss loves them and the guys love them, and it's very easy for me. I've been doing it for years. So I'm doing what I enjoy to do. But I think because the other people are gone and they like me and my skill set's there, it's sort of like you, Bobby. You're still hitting 310. You're in your upper 30s, but they need you. So you're gonna play till you're 40, and you don't see going anywhere. And that's how I am. I got the experience. They're not going to replace me. There's no reason to replace me. They'll probably hire me if they can. If they can't hire me, they'll just keep me on contract for 3 years. After that, as much gold, the gold should be $100,000 an ounce. I won't need to be working at that point. I'll be in an island with Daria and Jenna and whoever else. But that's where I'm at. So today's Irina's birthday, so I wished her happy birthday. She's got the baby. I says you should go to Therma. Therma's the name of this water pool in Romania. It's beautiful. They have this hot. The middle pool is really warm, and there's a bar in the middle of the hot tub with stools, so you could sit at the bar and order drinks, and you have a wristband, and they would just zoom, price it with the. So let's say you bought 2 drinks, $5 a piece, you and your girl, and they just flash the thing, and then when you leave, you give them the wristband, and they zoom it. And they go, oh, okay, you owe us $10. It was incredible. And so there was a hot tub. You'd go outside. There was a water park with slides. We didn't see all of it. We stayed in the hotter part and got drinks at the bar. It's similar to Vegas, where they actually play blackjack in the pool, but they didn't gamble there. And so that's Therma. I said, go to Therma, take a hot. Her back's bothering her. I says, go to Therma, take a hot tub. She says, well, nobody to watch the baby. I go, well, I'm sure they have daycare at the place. They can watch the baby. If the bear doesn't eat it, she still has bear problems. I go, well, what the fuck? Let's have somebody go shoot it. So anyway, it's her birthday today. So I send her some money. And she's always, oh, thank you. And, that's all I care about. When it's my birthday, I kind of get on them going, where's my present? And they're like, I don't have any money. I'm like, bullshit, you got money. I know they all have money. Don't kid me. But all I expect is a happy birthday back. But I do want to give them a gift because I can, basically. So, but she's having fun with the baby. She named the baby Caesar. It's hysterical, but not the way we would spell it. Cezar, the Romanian way. So it's a cute baby, and I'm happy for her. And that's it. Jenna's at home, and I don't know. For being in a war, she goes and plays tennis. She rides her bike. She goes to the lake and swims. She goes to the bank to get the money, gets the food, gets a manicure, and goes to the gym. So I'm like, what kind of war are you in that they're doing it? I think the war is really just on those Kharkov and Crimea cities where they're invading. But after what we just heard, Putin doesn't want to kill the citizens. He thinks they're going to be Russian. So he doesn't want to kill his own people. And they're Slavics, and they're, basically Russians anyway. So he doesn't want to just blow up the Ukraine. Now, BlackRock wants it. Fink wants it. Fink's in bed with Zelensky. He wants it blown up because he wants to get paid to fix it up. He's already signing contracts that, okay, we'll fix the Ukraine when the war is over. We'll have the contracts to rebuild it. What a bunch of fucking losers this BlackRock guy is. So anyway, so she's fine. Daria goes to work in Russia. Lena goes out and walks to her friends. She's in St. Pete. There's really nothing. I don't think they realize they're in a war. She goes to work, takes the subway and everything. But Jenna, it's amazing in a war. The only problem is the airports are closed. So she keeps having to train to Poland to get, to meet me, where instead of flying out of her airport or in, like when we met in Odessa, I think she flew to Odessa to meet me. So that's the only thing that makes it difficult, is she has to take this long train to Poland to take their airport, like when we met in Barcelona. Anyway, so that's what's going on with the girls, and that work's going great, and we're coming up on the summit the middle of August, and Labor Day's coming up, and all I can say is buy as much gold as you. I keep thinking, okay, I got enough, but they keep holding the price so low. I mean, I'm at a point where I would never sell it at this price. And as long as I keep money coming in, I'll keep buying it. So it's really weird. I mean, like I didn't intend to buy a half ounce last week. I took $700. I was going to buy some silver and maybe a tenth of an ounce if they had, and they had half ounces and they were only $1,000. Said, fuck, it's a no-brainer. So I had 700. I added 3 from the from my bank and from my paycheck, 7 out of the safe, and I had a half ounce gold piece that I wasn't expecting. So, Bobby, as much as you can buy, just keep buying it. Just keep buying it, even if it's quarter ounces, half ounces. Buy your silver, but buy some gold. It'll go up. You'll make a fortune on it. It's a no-brainer. You can't lose on it. As I would tell the guy in Assault on Wall Street, you can't lose. It's you give me your 60,000. We're going to go to the gold store and buy you $60,000 worth of gold. And in 2 years, when you need the money, you're going to have 100,000. You cannot lose. There is zero risk. You don't have to worry about it. They can't print it. They can't make more gold. It's just what's out there. But the demand is so high that it outweighs that, yeah, there's some gold out there, but the demand, these central banks, especially at these prices, they just keep buying it. So all I can say is this is the best investment you could ever make in your life is staring at you in the face. Fuck the real estate, fuck the farmland, fuck the Bitcoin. Just buy your gold and silver. My God, you have no risk. It's fallen in our laps, the perfect investment, especially for us, especially because we understand it. We understand that it's been held down. We understand it's cheap, and we understand it's going up. We understand this is inflated and it's going to zero, which will force gold through the roof. We understand BRICS is printing. So we understand all the reasons that this is to own gold. Inflation, 1, BRICS, 2, the debt, 3. So there's multiple, all the bank problems. There's multiple who wants to be in the dollar, and your only alternative is gold and silver. So we understand everything. There's no risk. You can't inflate the government can't print a bunch of gold, except for the ETFs, which I warned you about, or gold stocks or gold IRAs. Get out of those. Just buy the fucking coins. And that's all I can say is that you've got a no-brain opportunity. This is like betting on Georgia to beat Northwestern laying 7. So you tease it to 1. You have no chance of losing that bet. I mean, you'll never see them at 7, but if you did, that's about the same bet. It's a lock. You have no risk because you still have the gold. At worst case, you have the gold, but you've got the inflation, you've got the BRICS, you've got the banks. All that leads to the gold, and the BRICS coming out with gold currency. So I don't see where the risk is. They can't print it. So the risk on it going to 0 or even 1,000 is 0. But the reward, once we can break COMEX, now the key is breaking COMEX, but once we break it, let the market feast on it, then you're going to see a real price. But even if it doesn't, you're still going to see it go up. And even if it doesn't, you still got it worth 2,000, and you got out of, at worst case, you got out of this, which is going to 0, going to the bottom of the Atlantic. So at worst case, you're out of this into the gold. Gold sits at 2,000. Okay. You've saved yourself from that, but we all know gold and silver are going to go up. And that's the thing that we understand. We understand it. I'm teaching it so you understand why it's going to go up, what's different, why is COMEX going to crumble. COMEX has been holding it down. Well, if COMEX is gone and nobody can hold it down, surely the Russians and Chinese don't want the price down. They want the price up. They got to revalue because with all the inflation, all this debt that they have, at worst case, they got to make gold go to 10,000 an ounce to pay off all their debt. But once it goes, the fear of missing out will be on our side, and people will will just jump into it, and that'll make the price go higher and higher. Don't forget, Russia and China have all the gold, want the gold price to go up. They want to bankrupt us. They want to bankrupt London. They don't like all the bullshit we're doing with NATO and everything. So they want to hurt us. So that's what they're going to do with $10,000 an ounce gold, knowing us and London don't have any gold. So all of a sudden, gold's 10,000 an ounce, and we don't have any. Who wins? Us, because we're smart enough to get it. So yes, Bobby, will I get more this weekend? I will probably try to get 10 ounces of silver because it's so cheap, but gold would be next week. So when I get the big paycheck and the Social Security, I'm buying gold. When I get this week where I pull a couple hundred out of the safe, I go buy silver. But since I'm working, I know I can replenish the safe. So that's why I do that. And I got one more. Daria needs some implants. So it's like $600 to get 2 implants in Russia. So I think I've got this payment. I just gave her. So the next pay, I think, is the last payment. Then she'll have the 600, and then she can go get her 2 implants. And it's just funny how these girls, beautiful girls, but their teeth, they'll just say, they'll just give me horror story. We never went to the dentist, that we were too poor. And she says it'll be good to eat and not be in pain. So I know she went to the dentist, and they did some minor surgery to get the teeth, to get the gum ready for the implants. So I think this is the last payment. Then she'll be good for that. So I've been giving her a little bit extra for the teeth, which is fine. See, that kind of stuff I don't mind helping. She's not scamming me or doing anything. And, I can see her teeth. She needs implants. So it's not a big, it's not, nobody's scamming you with teeth. I remember Irina when we first met years ago. She said her dad was having heart problems. She said, "Can I have $500?" Now, of course, you're thinking scam, right? And I said to myself, who would scam about your dad needing a heart needing heart surgery or something? I says, nobody would scam that. And so I gave her the money. And, was I scammed? I don't know. And then like now when I talk to her, she says, I remember you helped my dad out with the heart surgery, and I'll never forget it. So she was telling the truth, but it's kind of like what's it about, right? So because it was Daria needing teeth, or Irina's father was ill, you kind of say that's pretty real. The American girls, you can't trust anything. But when these girls say it to you and they kind of know you're nice and they don't really want to hurt you, they kind of, on this kind of shit, you're probably getting the truth. And that's all you can do is you tell them, I just want you to be honest with me. I mean, I have money, but I'm not an idiot. So you don't mind helping them. And that's where me and Phil disagree. Phil wouldn't have helped, and I did. I got a friend for life in Irina because I helped her dad. Now her dad died, unfortunately. But it was ironic there as I helped pay for the funeral and sent her to Egypt for a get well vacation from the father dying. But that's fine. So I'm going to go meet her later in the year and meet the baby and give her some gold. I told her I got some gold for you. So that she'll accept. It's funny. They understand that. Anyway, so by the way, how's your dental? You ever got, how's my teeth? They're fine. I think I got 1 or 2 teeth wisdom taken out. I ever got them taken out just to get taken out. When I did have, I think it's these 2 or something. I don't remember. I think I had 2 taken out. And otherwise, my teeth are great. I go to the dentist now, and they do that little gum thing where they measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're perfect. this was a baseball incident. When I was younger, I got these two teeth knocked out from this guy on our team. It was a scrimmage. So I was playing catcher, waiting to bat, right? I know I played shortstop and second base. So I'm playing catcher because there's 3 guys hitting and 7 in the field. And then we would hit and run, and then the next guy would hit, and then you'd actually run around the bases. And he swings the bat, and the third baseman drops the ball. So then he realizes he can run to get it. So what does he do? He flips the bat at me. And it was really weird. It was like the Matrix. I could see the bat coming in slow motion, and I'm trying to get my mitt up. And the bat's coming like this, and my mitts, I'm like, my mind's going, lift your mitt, but I don't react to it. And then the bat hits there. So these 2 are out. This is a bridge. So this is a 6-tooth bridge. These teeth are filed down, and these 2 are gone. And then I have like this one is a half. But outside of that, I got a couple of crowns. No of these post things. I don't understand the post. I told her, why don't you get a bridge or why don't you get a crown? And they keep wanting them to get pillars or posts or implants. I'm sorry. So that's what they want, is they want you to keep getting implants. And I'm saying, just get a bridge. Get a fucking bridge. I lost these 2 teeth. So I don't have 2 teeth. Get a bridge. I never have a problem with the bridge. I've had this since I was 18. So it's almost 50 years. I'm asking because I'm getting mine taken out soon. Will be a first. Are you in pain? Are you getting them out to get them out? Or are you getting them out because they're causing pain? Is Lily had good teeth other than some sports injuries, except like chipped tooth? So if your wisdom teeth are bothering you and you're in pain, I would get whatever you need out. I would not get wisdom teeth taken out just because. I mean, I got an idea of your age, and I would say if they're not bothering you by now, I wouldn't fuck around with them. I never get teeth pulled or have an operation just because. If it ain't broken, I'm not fixing it. So I still have 2 wisdom teeth in. And when I go, the crowns are fine. The bridge is fine. This little tooth is fine. I have a problem with this one tooth, but he just kind of coats over it. I'm like, fine, I don't need anything. I don't want to get another crown if I don't need it. So it chipped on something. So be careful on popcorn. If you eat the kernel, you got to be careful because you break your teeth on the fucking kernels. My money. They don't necessarily hurt at the moment. The dentist told me to take them out, but who knows? These bastards might just want my money. I wouldn't get it taken out, Bobby. If they don't hurt at the moment, why in God's name would you get them taken out? I mean, that's like when you're 15 years old, they say you better take your wisdom teeth out. They might hurt later when they grow in, but yours at your age, they've already grown in. And if you don't have a problem, what the fuck are you going to the dentist to get all that pain for there's no benefit. What I call it is a added value. Does it add value for you to get your wisdom teeth taken out if there's no pain? At this point, they're in. And unless they're in sideways, causing problems with these other teeth because the wisdom teeth are in this way instead of this way, I wouldn't fuck around with them. If they're not in pain, get them pulled 10 years from now if they're causing you pain. But if they're not causing you pain by now, what the fuck? They came in when you're 15, 20 years old and they haven't given you problems. I wouldn't get them unless they're in sideways. But I would have thought they would have bothered you 25 years ago. So I would not recommend getting wisdom teeth pulled just because. I would only get them pulled if you're in a lot of pain. Like Daria, her teeth were swollen and in pain. So she got them pulled, and now they probably went rotten. And now the doctor the dentist did some drilling, had some stitches in it, and now she's getting this implant. She says, thank God I'll be able to eat. So I think one more payment. But Yeah, that sounds like bullshit, Bobby. That's maybe he wants to buy gold and he needs money. Tell him you need money for the gold. You can't afford the teeth. I don't, if you got a cavity, if you need a crown, I understand, but just wisdom teeth to get wisdom teeth, uh, chip tooth, if it doesn't hurt, why would you do it? I don't smell what he's cooking, Bobby. I'm sorry. Is his name McMahon? I mean, is he trying to, do some bad deals with you? I don't know why I would possibly fuck around with if the dentist said get my wisdom teeth out now and they don't hurt, I'd go fuck himself. There's no reason for it. There's no reason. There's no reason. I mean, at this point, if I had problems, I'd have had problems by now. I don't have. Why would I get my wisdom teeth out? So that's all I'm saying. If you don't have problems or headaches or your teeth hurting, now I would not get your wisdom out to get wisdom out. He's after your money. I smell what he's cooking, Bobby, and I don't like what he's cooking. So there's no reason to do it. So that's my point there. Anyway, so we got a couple of weeks till football. Actually, I think there's a game on Thursday, but I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to play. Now, Cleveland should be playing whatchamacallit. He should be playing, but I doubt it. God knows he needs to work. Rodgers should be playing too. He's got to get in a real game learning his new team. So, yeah, I know you can do it in practice, but until you're in a game, it doesn't matter. That's like taking batting practice. They lob the balls in. Do you think you're ready to face Nolan Ryan after getting the balls lobbed in? I mean, can you imagine Nolan Ryan playing now? And you go to pull him after, or Bob Gibson or Koufax, Catfish Hunter, and you're going to go pull them because they pitched 100 pitches? Are you kidding me? You think these guys would come out of the game? There's no way. Or Jack Morris, there's no way these guys would even. They'd laugh at you, man. If you're the manager, I wouldn't even come out of the dugout. These guys would say, "Fuck you." There's no way I'm coming out of the game, especially a big game. And imagine if Verlander's on the Tigers now and he's got a no-hitter through 6. You think he's coming out of the game? Fuck no. He'd be like, I got a no-hitter going. I'm not coming out of the game. So it's just amazing how stupid the managers now are. Well, it's 6 innings. He pitched 80 pitches. He better go get a hot chocolate and go to sleep. Go take a nap. Just fucking unbelievable how bad these managers are. And if these pitchers are such babies that they can only go 100 pitches in 5 and then have 5 days off, oh my God, no wonder none of them can pitch. They're being babied so badly. It's unbelievable. Well, football, we're keeping an eye on lines. We're keeping, I see a lot of injuries. Obviously, on Miami, the cornerback. We're still watching. Where's Dalvin Cook going? Where's Henry going? Where's Zeke Elliott going? I can't believe people don't want running backs. And yet, what does Seattle do? They draft not only the guy from UCLA, they draft the guy from Georgia also. So something doesn't add up. Seattle drafts 2 good running backs, Charbonnet and the guy from Georgia. And the Lions draft this guy in the first round. But you could have had Elliott, Cook, or Henry, and you drafted stuff from Alabama that sucks in the first round that you could have gotten in the 5th round. I don't really understand any of it. Running back's a very valuable position. Again, you need to give them the ball inside the 10-yard line if you want to score touchdowns or 3rd and 1s. This pushing Jalen Hurts into the fucking line with 3 guards behind him. I can't wait till his knee blows up. What a fucking stupid play. If you're going to do the insanity of playing, what are you playing? God, I can't. I'm so tired. I don't know, Australian rules football, whatever. If you're going to do that, why don't you have a tight end or a running back or a receiver, a running back, and let the guards push the running. Then why would you worry and waste your quarterback on that? Anyway, Purdy looks good from what I hear. I'm looking for Seattle to explode. The Rams, we'll see. Stafford's playing, but Stenson Bennett's ready to go, and we'll see how these other quarterbacks, Thompson Robinson, I'm looking forward to him. Richardson will be a flop. So will C.J. Stroud, Fields. These guys just suck. I mean, what are you thinking? And then to draft this guy from Alabama, Jones or whatever his name is, as the first pick. Yeah, good luck, Carolina. You'll be drafting first the next 5 years. So will Houston and Indy. They'll all be in the top 5 the next 5 years. If this is how they draft players, oh my God. Hooker's better than C.J. Stroud, and for sure Richardson, the guy from Tennessee. What are you watching? Did you not see Tennessee 50-49 Alabama, and you don't think that quarterback's any good? Well, he hurt his knee. Well, okay, big deal. I mean, that's a healable injury. He's a quarterback. He just won't run that much. But I love my analysis of Lamar Jackson. He's playing chess without his rooks and bishops. I thought that was so apropos about Lamar Jackson. Aaron Rodgers has bishops and rooks all over the place. So did Brady. So did Montana. Jerry Rice was his bishop. Roger Craig was his rook. And here's Lamar. He can't complete a pass, and he runs himself. So he's playing chess without 4 of the pieces. It's just what a perfect analogy I come up with. I haven't heard from that chess girl. I keep saying, why do we want to watch you play chess? You play this real quick 5-minute game, hitting the clock, making fast moves. Who gives a fuck? Why do I want to watch this? Unless you want to explain it. And that's the difference between my class and her playing chess, as I explain it. You come out of here knowing what inflation is, why you should buy gold and silver, why you should be out of the market, how to bet football, how to bet baseball. You understand everything. It's a class. What the fuck is she doing? She doesn't explain chess. Well, I'm going to develop my pieces. What the fuck does that mean? I'm going to do the rook king thing. Why? I'm going to do that. Why? What is your strategy? You don't. This is why I can't play chess. I don't understand the strategy except taking the king. That's the strategy of the game, but I don't understand all the little pieces and the strategy of when do I move my queen and my bishop and what is my, it should be like a war. Well, the art of war, the strategy is go against the weakness. What's the weakness? But she never discusses that. That's one thing I would discuss if I was teaching chess, as I would look for the guy's weakness, and that's what I would attack with my queen and my bishop and my rook. That's where I would go after, but I don't know what the fuck I don't know strength and weaknesses. You never explain it. So I'm waiting I'd love a comment from her back, but I don't know why they want comments. If they're not going to respond to them, at least when you guys leave questions and comments, I respond to them. This way I know what you guys are thinking and I know what I should talk about. If you're going to have comments, then please fucking respond to them. I think you're boring. I think that you're not teaching me anything. I don't understand the object of chess. Explain it, but you don't explain it because you just want comments, but you don't want live comments. And when they do live, they don't answer half the comments anyway. So it's stupid. Anyway, so a couple of weeks for football. We're in August. I think Thursday, Cleveland and the Jets. So we finally get into it. Now, I don't bet preseason because I don't want to bet on third stringers. The only time I would is if like you have two good quarterbacks playing. Like Frisco, they got Brock Purdy and they got Darnold. Well, Darnold sucks, but and then they're thinking of trading Trey Lance. Trey Lance has never played a game except for as a freshman in college. He played one game last year and broke his ankle. So you don't have a clue about Trey Lance. Now the Niners are going to trade him. He was the third pick in the draft. You idiots picked him. What are you fucking doing? Like, this is what amazes me. You have no idea what you're doing, trading up for a quarterback that sucks, that played as a freshman and didn't play 2 years, and you make him the third pick like he's Joe Montana out of Notre Dame. Like, what the fuck are you doing? So we'll see what happens. But that would be the only team I would play. Maybe if Stenson Bennett plays for the Rams or Thompson Robinson plays for whatever team he's on, or if they're going to play Russell Wilson because Sean Payton wants him to get used to the offense, or if C.J. Stroud's playing, then we'll bet against him. I don't know who. Well, it's David Mills and Richardson at Houston. David Mills is actually better, but that's what you want. So if, like to me, Love should be playing half a game because we don't know what he's got, but he probably won't play. This is what's amazing to me. What the fuck are you doing? These are the guys that need the work in the preseason to get the rhythm down, to get the timing, to get used to the speed and used to, it's second and third string defense. I'd have Love out there half the game, every preseason game. If he gets hurt, who gives a fuck? The guy sucks anyway. Who knows what you got? It's going to take him 5 games to figure out what's he doing when you could put him in the preseason. It's for practice. You don't. This is all clueless that you're going to play the game in a practice and think that's going to help him for the game. Yeah. Oh, good luck on that. Field should be playing. Well, he is, I think, a little bit. But all those guys, Lamar should be out there trying to figure out how to throw it to a receiver. All these guys should be playing. Oh, you might get injured. Then go play fucking tennis and golf. What the fuck? I mean, this is football. You get injured. Could you imagine, Bobby, in baseball and they wouldn't play spring training because you're afraid you're going to get injured? What the fuck is that? And I guarantee you spring training helps you because you see live pitching and live fielding and you field your position. And then you're ready when opening day starts. Well, imagine not playing preseason in exhibition. It's unfucking believable. It's insane. So to not play these guys in the preseason, like a Love, like a Hurts, like all these guys, it's fucking ridiculous. C.J. Stroud, Richardson should be playing half the game at least, every preseason game. God knows they need the work. God knows they're not going to be any good. They'll just run around. That's all they'll do. So C.J. Stroud's going to run around. He'll run for 200 yards and throw for 50 yards. I mean, that Richardson will do the same. They'll be lucky to throw for 100 yards. It's just stupid. But you know my feelings on Ohio State quarterbacks, but even more on Ohio State. They had Joe Burrow, and he was their third string quarterback. You're like, what a bunch of fucking idiots. You got Joe Montana, and you got him on the bench. I remember I heard on Joe Montana at Notre Dame, he was the 8th string quarterback when he first started. And then these guys kept getting injured. Next thing you knew, he was next man up, and that was it. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. And we found and then you wonder, well, what did you see in practice that you didn't know this guy was that good? That's how bad the coaches are. They have a Joe Montana, or Michigan had Tom Brady, and they couldn't even recognize in practice how good these guys were. You wonder why so many coaches are fired, because they're a bunch of fucking idiots. All right. Anyway, I think that's about it. It's 3 hours and I'm tired, and I worked today and I got to get up for work tomorrow. Let's assume Thursday. And that's about it. I think so. We've talked Doug McGregor showed you the videos. He's got a good 16, 20-minute one that really covers it fairly good. I would definitely watch that. The other ones he had were kind of repetitious. It's kind of like when Alligator does 3 or 4, it's the same thing over and over. Okay, I got it. Yeah, it's the Sergei Glasov, this Russian guy. And yeah, we get the Russians are doing this and the inflation and it's rubbish and it's garbage. And so pretty much just watch it once is my point. But very good. I like this guy. He tells you the truth. So the Russians are up 42-0, and they're not going to lose to the Ukrainians. So if you get a chance to bet on the Russians. The U.S. are going to look like idiots, and they'll make up some excuse to bail it out and say, well, we need peace. However, as you said, some of these people for the U.S., they won't quit. They want to get the gold and oil out of Russia. They want to revenge on Putin, I guess, but they ain't going to win. This is ridiculous. So we'll see. But the strange government people in the U.S. just want to keep the war going. Really, it's not. Putin wants to resolve it. Zelensky's getting paid off, so he doesn't care what he's doing. You watch him; he'll end up in like Algeria in a nice house on the ocean or the Mediterranean or something. He'll bail out, and poor Jenna will be left there. I don't know, trying to figure out what happens. I'm debating about sending her the thing because I don't know if I want to, hurt her that she'll realize that she doesn't have a chance. So I got to think about that. But anyway, I think that's about it. So go buy your gold and silver. It's a no-brainer. You can't lose. It's a better bet than football. Okay, Bobby, you have a nice night. And Thursday about 7:38. I went to the pool right away, and then I came back, and it's been great. I haven't been eating at night at all. I've been stacking a little. So I got off my diet a little with the cherries and a donut here and eating something at 9:00 at night because I'm hungry after swim. So I'm totally since Friday night, I haven't had anything like after dinner. And I haven't had any sweets, and it's been good. I can tell the difference. My stomach's in, and I feel good. So anyway, it's good. I was happy about that. All right, everybody. Have a great night. www.teaserking.com. You can buy the football packages anytime. If you want to work on a payment plan, instead of $5.99, you can pay me $250. $300, $299, something like that. And outside of that, I'll post pics the week of the game. I don't want to post now because of injuries, so I'm going to wait on that. But anyway, have a good weekend. I will talk to you on Thursday. Go buy gold. I feel you have a couple weeks till the BRICS conference, but then if you're going to buy, I wouldn't wait. I wouldn't, as they said, fear of missing. I would not want to. If you got the gold, I got the gold. I'm fine. Now I'm just waiting for it to go up. I'm not. That's what I have a fear that the guy doesn't have any. So when I get to the gold store and really have, oh, good, he's got gold, he's got silver. Okay, that's my biggest fear is he doesn't have any more because I know it's gone. All right, everybody, www.teaserking.com. Have a good day. Have a good night. Buy your gold and silver, and we'll see what else. Have a nice day. Stay healthy. All right, take care.